Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 137.
137.
137. You guys missed. We had a long pre-show.
I know.
Fluff and I listen. The pre-show juice this week is good.
Yeah.
Man. It's a good conversation we just had.
Yeah, I feel like we're already done. Like it was we had a heated debate. We had the discussion about the thing that went on.
Yeah, we had exactly, man. Yeah. We had like 3 different great conversations in there. And then the other thing about the other game, stuff.
Yes.
If you guys want to get the pre-show, it's on the Patreon.
Yep.
There's links in the places.
Yeah.
So how you doing,
you idiots listening live or on a podcast. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
What's been going on?
Yeah, we had this little thing called public test realm.
Oh, that came out?
It did. So both of us sunk our teeth into that, and I'm proud of you. You did your homework and you played the wizard like I told you to.
I played the crap out of the wizard.
Good. And I played a lot of necro, and of course, I'm the face of necro, so no one knows more than me. So
yeah, except for I'm really the face of necro. You saw the clip, right?
Yeah, I think that's cute. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, PChild called himself the face of necro because he beat my clear on the boards, but didn't bother looking at what I had on. By the way,
it's because it was so far down the leaderboard to me, I couldn't find it.
It's almost like I knew people weren't going to be pushing the leaderboard with squirts. That's weird, right?
Totally.
So we got the same clear minus 100% damage modifier. You got to call yourself the face of necro one more time, PChild.
Listen, I went slow at the end to try to get closer to your time. I was slowing down because I was trying to just get like one above. It was so hard to go that slow. I tried.
Did you try taking off the 100% damage? Did you try that?
Why didn't you put it on is the question.
Because I know it's not going to be like that.
No, I'm just playing. I did.
It's just funny as me because like everyone's pinging me like, oh, I beat you on the leaderboard for PTR. I'm like, no, you didn't.
I talk shit and I knew that my stream would clip it and send it to you, right? But out of context later on, I said, this just proves how easy it is to play because all I literally did was just copy somebody's build and then jump in and did the 140 on the first try. I didn't spend any time theory crafting it. I just literally copied it and like, okay, I think we can press these buttons. Let's go do it.
Yeah.
And it worked. Yeah. So, but we're going to get into both the wizards. The wizards got a bunch of sets. They got Firebirds Towel, and then we got the new Rathma. And the Firebirds Towel has a couple different variants you can play too. So we'll get into those.
Yeah.
Hit the poll.
Yeah. So last week's poll, let me pull this up. Click the thing. What are you most hyped for? We'll let you guys vote one last time. But what are you guys most hyped for with the PTR? Right? We got the leaderboard filter we talked about last week a bunch. And we'll talk about it again today. The follower overhaul. So if you guys have been living under a rock, they completely revamped followers in Diablo 3. The Firebird revamp, which P was just alluding to. They overhauled the Firebird set. So it's now usable. And then finally, the Rathma revamp, which I'm going to go deep into on the pod today. So deep. So what do you guys think was the coolest thing, maybe after play testing or even just like, scratching the surface, like maybe you didn't get on PTR and you're just like, well, that looks the most exciting to me. What do you guys think? And PChild, as always, what do you think won and what's your personal opinion?
Okay. So hype is the word you used.
Yes, true.
You know what I mean? So I think leaderboard filter is the clear winner of the PTR. I think that's the biggest change going forward. But I don't think that's super hype. I mean, it is hype to me and it's cool to me, but I don't think that's like, if I'm looking at these notes, that's not the thing that I'm getting excited about. I think I'm more excited to play the new sets. And I'll call them new. They're just reworked, but we'll call them
kind of new. Yeah. Anytime they do a rework, it's new. Yeah.
I'll call them new sets.
Yeah.
The follower overhaul was pretty cool. And so am I biased? Am I using my playing PTR mind, or am I using my current, okay, I've played things now mind? How do you want me to answer it? Answer it as last week or answer it as this week?
I mean, you got to bring your knowledge into it, right? You can't. It's hard to.
So the follower overhaul was pretty hype when I read it. After actually utilizing it, it's kind of set it and forget it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of put your stuff on your follower, and he's kind of there. Like the nem bracers on the follower are really cool, but after you pop, it just like after a rift, you're just like, oh, I have nem bracers on. You kind of just feel like you just have them on your own character because you do. And so it's kind of like a set it, forget it, man. The poison cloud is for the scoundrel. Like you can't even see it. Like I was literally trying to see the thing on the screen to like utilize it. And I had to test, and you could barely see this really faint outline. And like in actual, pushes, like I couldn't even really notice it. Like maybe once a rift, I might be like, I think it's right there.
Yeah.
So they need to work on that a little. I would say I was more hyped for the Rathma set. If I had to pick a single thing, I would say I was hyped for the Rathma set.
After playing?
No, before playing.
Okay, before playing.
After playing, I don't even know what to be hyped for after playing, because this stuff's not going live, man. Like, we'll get into it, but this
well, then it's this for you, right? Obviously.
Yeah, I guess.
After what changed? What, I guess that's my question. Well, after playing on PTR, what did your opinion change about the leaderboard?
Nothing. It's still really good.
So then you were hyped before. Why would that change?
But it's not the most hype thing. I think it's the best change. I don't think it's the most hype change.
Okay.
I think the most hype is the new sets. And honestly, I'm more interested in Rathma than Firebirds personally. I like the Firebirds. I shouldn't say I like where it's at now. I like the direction it's going, and I think it needs some work, but
okay. Okay.
What were your thoughts?
Yeah, going into it, leaderboard filter, obviously, for me as a Necro main, Rathma had me hyped up, but then after playing Rathma, it's kind of a mess right now. So it's kind of like, you remember when the monk set first came out? It's like the opposite almost. It's like it's obviously really good and it's really strong, and people are A, invincible, and B, doing tons and tons of damage.
Some people like it too, which is scary.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll talk about it, because I don't think we're even on the same page too. Like when we get into it, it'll be interesting to hear how we do.
Yeah, I can't believe you don't agree with me, and you're probably wrong. But yeah, so going into it, leaderboard filter.
Okay.
And I think
that's a solid vote. I like
coming away from it. Also, leaderboard filter.
Yeah, that's a way. I don't think it's going to win though.
The follower overhaul with 42% of the vote. Firebird coming in
last
at a rank 2, leaderboard filter rank 3, and the Rathma revamp is 10%.
What? No.
Is this my audience anymore? What is happening?
That's what I'm wondering. I think I'm taking over.
Did I lose everybody? Oh, God.
Everybody's converted to bacon, buddy.
Man.
We're all baconing.
Wow.
Yeah, man. The follower thing is cool. So where do you want to start? Let's
let's look at, let's hang on.
Let's get to the
second poll for next week.
I'm so eager to jump into.
I know, but I'm eager to jump into this. So this is we were having a little debate. Yeah. We didn't go too deep because
we wanted to have it live on the pod.
So this is the poll for next week, and this is based on basically a heated argument we were having pre-podcast. Names were called. It was bad.
It was.
But yeah, so first of all, let me read it, and then I'm going to give you like your platform moment, right, to give your opinion. Okay, so which would you prefer on the leaderboard to be added to the leaderboard filters? A Paragon filter or an hours played filter? PChild, plead your case.
Okay, so the thing that we're going to get one of these, like this is the debate, is we're only going to get one.
Yeah.
Okay, and which one did you want? And so I'm voting for the Paragon filter. Fluff's voting for the hours played filter. And his goal this podcast is to convince me to flip my mind to the hours played filter. That's what he's going to try to do this podcast.
Just give your case. Why are you setting this up?
I'm setting it up. And I think the Paragon filter gives you a power level, an overall power level for your character, because XYZ Paragon literally translates into primary stat damage and damage reduction. And so I think that that's a easy Paragon, easy filter to say, like, this is the power level of your character. And then you think that an hour filter is
Hey,
better.
let me plead my own case.
Oh,
sir.
you're going to plead your own?
Yeah.
I want to anti-plead your case, but go ahead.
Yeah,
So I think
Go
the
ahead.
Paragon filter is good. I think it does a good job of saying this is how much extra power you have from Paragon. And I do. Okay, so plead your case, and
Yeah,
then
let me
I'll
plead my. All right.
argue. All right.
So my case is hours played filter is better information. So right, so you played 1,000 hours this season. You have 2,000 Paragon, and I played 70 hours, and I have 2,000 Paragon, and we finish in the same. Like I beat you right at the end of the day, and I don't think that there's a learning opportunity for you, the worst player, to get out of a Paragon filter, because you're going to see like, okay, we're with 1,000 Paragon and I was within 2 GRs of you, but you played like 2,000 more hours than me. Like you're playing the game inefficiently. Maybe you had a ton of fun, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't think there's nothing to gain from a Paragon filter versus an hours filter. And again, hours filter for me, that the guy that goes crazy those first 2 weeks. Is it even possible for someone to play 22 hours of uptime? I want to pull those guys out of my filter because they're not reasonable. They're robots. They're cheating.
And that's the reason why I like the hours filter, is because I could filter out the bots. That's the only reason I want it. But aside from that, the Paragon filter is a power level per character. I don't care how long it took me to get 1,000 versus how long it took you. Because maybe I'm doing viewer runs on my stream the whole time being inefficient, and you're doing rat runs with your buddies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there could be 2 different ways we're playing the game.
Sure.
And so it takes me twice as long to get there. But the thing is I still got to the same power level. The Paragon's the same. The bonus damage that we get for that is the same. The damage reduction is the same. So our characters are at equal footing from that standpoint. And then the hours played doesn't matter. So I want both, honestly. But if I had to pick, that's why I'm going to go with Paragon, because it's a judge of your character's overall power.
Yeah, and I will say maybe I'm bringing some self-interest into this debate too, because I already know there's no one's going to beat me based on Paragon.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I have no value for that. No, I know it. I already know. Like
nobody will ever see the thing. But see, the thing is the hour filter would work against you then, because because you'll get, let's say that you get 1,500 Paragon, and you're like, all right, I'm going to be the best 1,500 there is. Then you, Mr. Bachelor Fluff, that has no responsibilities, will sit there and spend 70 hours smashing greater rifts, where somebody else like me be like, man, I got 4 hours to do this thing and I'm done. So that's where the hour filter could even work in my favor, to be like, I played half the hours of Fluff and
you're more efficient with your time.
The same GR level.
Yeah, I think I don't think that on an hours played filter I would win. I'm not saying that would be the case, because I don't run rents. I don't run rents 24/7. Mm-hmm. So it'd be kind of that like, well, if I had, that's the Paragon I'd probably be at. Right. And if I had just manned up and done rat runs, and then it's like a decision that I make, do I, make that decision to improve next season and like just man up and do the thing? Or do I see like, okay, wow, even me, someone that plays, I think a lot-ish, there's people that play infinitely more than I do. I have a full-time job, right? And I'm knocking people out in hours played, or knocking people out in Paragon filter. I still think that the hours played just gives me more information than the Paragon.
I think in the upper echelon of the ladder, I think that hours filtered would kill bots. I think you would filter a lot of people out, because I really do feel like the majority of the upper echelon are bots. I feel like
I agree.
I feel like a huge chunk is cheaters, and something, but I think we're looking at this in a couple through skewed eyes, because you and I are both super anti-bot.
Yeah.
And we're very like, I think a lot of our mindset for the game revolves around that. We're like, listen, I want these filters so I can get rid of bots. Like, because really that's what you and I are doing.
Yeah.
And I think that we also have to look at it as, I want this filter for people that are going to be on the same power level as me. And maybe they botted some of that power level, but at least their Paragon is equal to mine. And hours played would do that similar. I think they're both going to kind of accomplish the same goal ultimately. It's just what means do you want to get there? But I still think Paragon is a little bit better filter for my interest for what I want.
Yeah, and I do think that the hours played, it just gives you more information, as that player, that I didn't finish rank 1 and I had 2 more hours than this guy and he's got 500 more Paragon than me. How did you do that?
Yeah.
So I don't have a learning opportunity.
What if I just sat in town for like 10 hours one day? I'm in town and I forget to close the game, and for whatever reason it logs.
The game kicks you out.
So. Yeah, I don't know, something.
It kicks you out after like an hour, so it's not going to be like that big.
What if you left numlock on? Would it still kick you out?
No, I don't. If you're sitting there with numlock on, it would keep you in the game for a while, but you'd still eventually get kicked out. Yeah.
So like your wife starts screaming from she catches the kitchen on fire and you run off and you're still sitting there, your necro's just doing this little hard cast thing forever. So I don't know, man. So it's an interesting debate. I guess we can figure out who wins based on the poll. You know what I mean?
There's a right answer.
We already know I'm gonna win, so it doesn't, What's the prize when I win next week? What do I get?
Oh man.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
We'll figure out something.
Yeah, maybe people can suggest things.
People that can.
You never do cornrows again. That would be
never.
That would be my number one request.
Either way, though, I would like to get one of them, and I don't even know if the API has access to these things. I would hope that they could. I mean, you could filter it, so I don't know if they can build an API to hit it, but there's such a good spot for it.
But next up, before we kind of dive into the patch notes, right? One of the things I want to touch on were a couple of things that I saw pop up kind of all over Reddit this week. Okay. So one is kind of I
saw this thing. Yeah.
One's kind of a just a statement to help the community. A word of warning. I guess a lot of people are falling for this right now, but there are people trying to scam other people with Diablo 2 resurrected alpha keys.
Yeah, there is no alpha key, I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you there is no alpha key. And he does not have any to give away.
Right.
Okay. So maybe the promise could be like, I will give you an alpha key if I get one, but this is totally a scam, whether it's to drive traffic to a subreddit or to get more information. I don't know, but
it's don't fish for information, probably.
Like report him as a liar person thing.
So don't.
So hopefully the right people find, like, we should probably make sure the right people know about it so they can see if it's serious enough to do something about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So just don't fall for it, chat. So that's just a, consumer service announcement. And then, it's something else I saw. I'm curious your opinion on this, because to me, it's like, what are you guys even talking about? So people are complaining on Reddit. There are a lot of people saying, I'm not going to play this season because there's no seasonal theme. I'm not going to touch this season. They're so lazy. They're not even going to give us a seasonal theme. What's the point of even playing? But what Blizzard could have done, and maybe it's the bigger brain play, I don't know. To me, it's like, this is so stupid, but they could have just made the follower changes seasonal. And even if their intent all along was to keep it permanent forever, like it is, then they could have just rolled it over. Right?
Yeah. What are you on right now? If you're not going to play this, this is bigger than any seasonal theme we've ever had, period. I don't understand, because it's not labeled as a seasonal theme, you're upset. I don't understand why you're mad. They spent all their dev time instead of making Ring of Royal Grandeur seasonal theme. They literally made a new follower revamp system. I can't even imagine the amount of work and bugs it took for the team to do that, because these devs aren't the original devs that wrote the game. These guys are going in, reading other people's code and trying to figure out ways to make it work and stuff. It's got to be a big undertaking, and it's a good thing. And on top of that, we got 2 new sets too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's pretty wild. Even if you don't think the follower, if you don't think there's anything new going into the season, because maybe the follower, you don't think it affects you, It does, right? It's basically, think of this next season. If you want a seasonal theme, think of it as the season they gave you Nemesis and Flavor of Time in the queue for free, like literally,
like permanently, and Gloves of Worship, and like all the
Band of Avarice,
stages, and like everything. Like they gave you 7 legendary powers for free. It's a season of giving, you know. Yeah, it's crazy to me. I've heard that a lot, actually. I got that in my stream, and I've seen it on Reddit. I've seen it in my YouTube. I have YouTube comments that were just like trash and things. Like, I can't believe there's no seasonal theme. What are they doing? And I was like, wait, what? Like, this is way bigger than any seasonal theme we've gotten. I don't understand.
That's so the most changes we've gotten since season 11.
Right.
And people are like, no, I'm not going to play. There's no COE season.
I hype it up so much, man. I don't think people understand how good this leaderboard filter system actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to play whatever set you want and push leaderboards on it, on any set in the game, even non-set, even Legacy of Dreams or Legacy of Nightmares. Actually, I don't think Legacy of Nightmares would classify, would it?
Yeah.
Would it classify on there as the no set?
As a no set, yeah.
Is it? Mm-hmm. So I don't know, man. I don't know what else you could ask for. You know, like that in itself is huge. Like you can, you know, I might play Natalia's just for fun. Just why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, you know, or let's say that the new Firebirds set comes out and it's still Firebirds Tal Rasha. I could potentially just play Firebirds Tal Rasha.
Yeah.
Or we can just play Firebirds and not do the Tal Rasha at all. Because Tal Rasha right now is far superior, and it probably always will be. But if I wanted to just play, like, I like the way the new Firebirds plays a little bit. Like, what if I want to just play that?
Yeah, I agree. And if you know, say in some weird universe the necro changes go through, there's no way I'm pushing that. Like, I would much rather play Bone Spirit. I'd much rather play Poison Scythe. So yeah, I could just do that. I could still play and have a good time and not feel like the way it's felt every season, where if I'm not pushing the meta, I'm not competing, period. And that feeling's gone now, which is fantastic.
I think it's really cool. I don't think it's going to hit people until a couple of weeks into the season.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you know, I'm just going to keep pushing this. Or they're like, man, I've never been on leaderboard. I want to get on a leaderboard. Oh, Jade Witch Doctor. Like, you only got to get a 70. Okay, let's do it.
Let's go.
You know? Let's do it. God DH. Oh shit, nobody's playing that this season.
And maybe they discover how much they like that playstyle and they actually like have a good time, right? So I think it's great.
And I think also what this is going to do, I think this is going to give future data for devs too. I think that the devs will be able to go in and look at leaderboard clears at the end of a season and say, okay, what were the bottom performing sets for every single class? And then that gives them focus to say, okay, you know what, man? Demon Hunter Natalia was like 15, 20 tiers below everything else. We're going to buff that up again. Oh, we're going to go look at Tragools, was like 20 tiers below it. Let's go buff Tragools. And I think it really can help narrow the gap of getting these sets more in line with each other. Because like there are so many outlier sets. And we say this every patch. It's like there are so many unused sets that they can buff up, and now they're going to have the data for it. And on top of having the data, they get to see what complementary pieces people are using, because these devs can't play every build and master every single build for every push variant and think of all the combinations that millions of people who play the game would think of. So I think it's good data for them, man. And I'm excited to see what this opens up in the future.
I agree, dude.
Cool.
Yeah, but let's do the thing. Let's dive into what we saw and our kind of feedback on each of the things, kind of line by line here. So first up is the follower system revamp and the ability to emanate. So going into it, what was your kind of initial impression, and then after playing it for 12 plus hours, what would you walk away with?
Emanate was interesting. When I read it, I was like, oh, cool, this is dope. And then when I put it into practice, it was set it and forget it. Royal Ring, by the way, does work on the follower. I think in the last podcast, we said it wouldn't.
We were told that it would not.
We were told that it would not work, and it does actually work. So is that a bug? and they're gonna fix it, or I hope not, because I kind of like it working personally. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I didn't spend crazy amounts of time messing with the follower and trying to figure out these things. So like I threw on the Sage, the Canes, the Royal Ring, the Avarice bands. What else? I mean, Flavor of Time and Nems are like really all I cared about.
Yeah.
You throw a Flavor of Time and Nems on your follower, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's glorious, right? Crazy power creep in solo.
It is.
You know,
Flavor of Time
but
is a pretty insane power creep. Yeah.
I mean, Nems too.
Yeah,
I mean,
those two in combination too. Like those two items are good on their own and would be power creep, but you put those two together and it's like even better.
It's like, okay, so every pylon now is progression, and every pylon now lasts for double. It's nutty, man. So just to jump into Firebirds for an example, like Firebirds set uses the Ashengar Blood Bracers, at least the variants that I played. And so that's going to grant you a shield. Normally, to get NEMs, you would have to take those bracers off or give up your cube slot to get them on. And that's a huge toughness loss. I mean, like 90% shield is gone.
Yeah.
So to get those NEMs for free on the follower, it's nutty how powerful that really is.
Yeah.
But that being said, once you do a rift or two with it on, it's kind of just like it's there and you don't realize it. It's just like you have NIMS on in your build. You don't think about it. You don't appreciate it, I should say. I think you kind of take it for granted. I feel like I'm just like it's there and it's like cool. I'm not saying it's bad. It's out of sight, out of mind. Pylons spawn champions. It's just a thing, you know. So
I had a kind of a different experience with the bracer thing, right? So like, yeah, for Necro, the new stuff, this is such an impactful, like Nemesis. Oh my God, being able to have Nemesis. And I do appreciate that, right? Especially as like Bone Spear going in and all last season touching a pylon and being disappointed, right? Like this, and then obviously getting that all the time now. Yeah. I don't think that effect wasn't really lost on me with the followers, but it was lost, on some of the other stuff. Yes, we can reach, like, say you're playing Pestilence, you can reach a new attack speed breakpoint with, putting Lacunis on instead of Nemesis, but that wasn't really like the massive power creep that it is for like, like you said, I think we quoted last podcast was like, well, now it just makes me want to have cooler Necro bracers because, we have.
Now you don't have to wear them every time, right? I don't want to give off the impression that I didn't appreciate it. I do appreciate it. I just think it's like kind of out of sight, out of mind. You know what I mean? It's like I click a pylon, and every time I click it, I'd be like, "Oh, that's badass! I got a champion, and it's double time." And then that's it. Then you kill that guy, and you're moving along, and you're just doing your thing. You know what I mean? So, it's crazy power creep though, and I like it for two reasons. I think that it closes the gap between single and group play a little bit.
And
it gives you
only because there's the cap to GRs, right?
It gives you an incentive to play solo a little bit now. I think like in all because the Sages and Kane set for farming Death Breath is still it's pretty nutty seeing ungodly amounts of Death Breath and getting the extra keys. But it's a way that they can introduce power to single player and not affect group play as much.
Yeah.
Like if they want to buff single player solo build, like let's say groups are clearing 150s in 5 minutes and solo's struggling to get it down in some classes and most people will never do it, right? But they could easily, let's say they bring the 4-man down out of the 150 range, which I don't know if they'll ever do that, but let's say they get it down to 130s even. They could buff the follower items or follower power and get that single player experience closer to that 4-player power level and narrow that gap without affecting 4-player. And I think that's this is the start of a system.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And I got to think that there was, actual research that went into this decision because I got to assume at this point, especially in Diablo 3's lifespan, that probably most people, like the majority of people are playing solo.
You think?
Oh, yeah. I think most people just like log in, they play, and then they log off. They're not worrying about like finding a group or getting in a community.
That's interesting. I don't know if I would have thought that. I don't think I have an argument for or against it, but I know personally, I always like to play with other people.
Yeah,
And
but you've kind of built your community around that.
Yeah, and I think my community is kind of the same too.
Yeah.
I think that's because I built it around
Grouping.
Let's just chill and have fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And me, like I could have hundreds and hundreds of people in the stream, but I can't find a group to save my life. Literally. Like I can't find a rat run.
Yeah, and then when the season starts, as soon as I log on, you're always like, "Yo, you got rats?" And I'm like, yeah, "Hold on," and it takes like a minute, and we got a rat team. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think it's just built on communities and your style of play. But it would be interesting to see analytics. I think I'm too nervous or too scared to make a claim. That's a bold claim, I think, to say like most people play solo or most people play group, because I honestly have no idea. But I think it would be interesting to see those analytics. Regardless, though, there is a huge portion of player base that does love solo. And this is a good example of it because comments and tweets and stuff in streams and just the things I'm reading on Reddit, like all the solo players are coming out of the woodwork like, oh, this is the best change ever, So
yeah.
I like the emanation list. I feel like there could be some more choices in some of the pieces. Like example, what do we have on chess piece? Gold skin?
Yeah, gold skin's it.
And that's it.
It's what? Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
that's it. Unless we put the sages or canes on.
Right.
And then there was other slots like weapons. Like we don't have any. Like some of the weapons work and some don't, but most are specific to the class anyway. So
yeah, I was a little disappointed by the. I thought that Lycian would be like maybe a better choice for the Enchantress with the gloves combo.
What's that do again?
Yes, the gloves of worship make your buffs, your shrine buffs like 10 minutes. Yeah. But Lycian or whatever, it has a chance on killing a demon to give you the shrine buff.
Yeah, right.
And then it literally never goes off because like your Enchantress doesn't do shit. Like doesn't kill anything. So I don't know. But that's kind of like going back to some points about like, well, then you're adding in RNG to like a push, but then push is already RNG. I don't know, because it's like how many times are you gonna proc and get a shrine buff during GR? I don't know. Anyways, but I agree with the sentiment that it's just like we'll put on Thunder Fury basically, but if you're a scoundrel, I don't know what are people putting on.
Yeah, what do you use? Like I thought about that in stream, and I'm like, what do I put on my scoundrel? Well, I don't care. Let's just go with the yellow bow he's got on. I'll figure it out later. And I never did because I didn't care. You know what I mean? Like, I just want your poison cloud, bud. You know what I mean? That's all I care about. So, but it was interesting. I wish there were more choices in there. And it would be cool in the future if we could get a couple maybe follower-only items. Maybe we give them some unique powers. Like maybe those are weapons that aren't super broken, but I think that would be interesting. The problem is I don't want that dev time wasted on followers.
Items, yes, I'm with you 100%. So it's like it's nice to have the system, but none of us. It is interesting to me that they did buff the followers. Again, I think it goes back to like maybe they're looking at data and seeing people play solo, so they want to give that juice without making 150s in group play a total meme. So I think that this is a smart play to kind of, lower that power creep that comes from group play. I think that's what this was meant to accomplish.
I think it does a good job of that. Let me ask your opinion on this.
Okay.
And how would you feel if they made the followers either A, just invincible inherently, like they had the follower item that makes them invincible all the time where they can't die, or B, somehow coding them more like pets and minions where they can actually do damage and their toughness is based on your toughness, because you're forced into that can't die socket. So like let me hear what you think about this before I
so if you gave him can't die, well then you're just shifting the meta towards like what the cooldown reduction or the get all access to all skills, and it's like, well then you're kind of locking them to deny either way once people figure out what's the best. So I think that's kind of an insignificant change. I do think that, if you're looking to bridge the gap more, then maybe explore, like, how can we make these followers not do ZDPS? Like they're a joke, right? In
They're
terms of
stat sticks right now,
Right, yeah.
basically, is all they do. And so my thought is like, hey, let their damage be like shadow clones a little bit, where they reflect based off of your stats, like somehow reflects onto them, or they have stats themselves, and you can micromanage that if you want to. But also their toughness needs to mirror somewhat to yours as well. Like that way, I'm not forced into the follower can't die trinket. Like let's say, all right, dude, he's pretty tinky. He might die once or twice in the rift, but for the most part, he's pretty good. I can go with one of these other items if I chose to.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's interesting. It's a start though. I think this is a great way to affect solo play and not screw with groups. And I think they accomplished that. I definitely think this Emanate list is going to change and expand over time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see this kind of be like sets where every season we're going to get revamps of this list, you know what I mean? Or things added or removed. Like if Flavor of Time got pulled off next season and they threw squirts on there or something, like I don't know. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised.
Can you imagine if they threw squirts on there and like people are just like less tanky and they don't know why?
Yeah, it would be nutty, right?
That'd be probably a bad idea. But
What if you emanated Unity and then you can't run your follower in another person, so that wouldn't work. Yeah, I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see how this evolves. But all in all, though, man, I think the follower system's cool. To me, it's not up in your face though. As you're playing the Rift, it's kind of you forget about it a lot. At least I forgot about it a lot. But maybe I was just so enthralled with the new sets that maybe that's why I felt that way too.
Yeah, that's interesting that you felt that way, because I definitely felt it, and like I don't know,
definitely feel the power. You definitely feel that
it was
flavor.
It was very aware, right? Like touching pylons, I get the dudes, and I was like, oh yeah, that's nice to have. And I get reminded like every single time, and I touch a pylon and it lasts longer. It's like, oh yeah, I don't know.
It's like every build that I like in the game always has NEMs anyways.
Yeah,
it's just like if it doesn't have NEMs, the build's broken. Like we need to get NEMs in it somehow. How can we get NEMs in this?
So now you just can.
Now you can. They listened. Thank you.
But yeah, I walk away with that same sentiment of like, obviously they can really expand on this and they can go a lot of different directions if they really want to. I think, at the end of the day, it's probably easy to just like, well, this season, you're getting a rework to Trigul and blah, blah, blah. Oh, and by the way, we're not, if your favorite set didn't get touched as part of these changes, we're at least adding blank to the Emanate list. And so your gameplay changes maybe a little bit.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't become like a cop-out way to like, oh, we got changes for you. Basically it's going to become a 13 slot cube at some point.
Yeah. It already is. But yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, what I'm like, it's not fully opened. At least it's a 13 slot limited cube.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Yeah. I got to wonder like how much, I don't know. What, so let me ask you this. So this follower system revamp, impactful, solo play, undeniable power creep. Would you rather see this or Fluff's corruption currency?
The corruption where you're going to corrupt the item and get a random effect on it, or possibly brick the item?
Yes.
Oh. I don't know.
I'm not offended if you don't vote my way.
No. So I think the corruption gives way to some ridiculous combinations of things that would be game breaking if you got them. And some super, oh my God, I just ruined the best item in the game moments, which are funny as a streamer. That's good content, right? But ultimately, I think this is better for the health of the game for more people. So I would
ask you what you thought was better for the game. What would you?
I would
prefer?
probably take the corrupt items then, if it's strictly for me being selfish, because that's going to give you infinite possibilities. Like if you can corrupt the item and throw any random affix in the game on that item. So like I could get a furnace that had the Jesseth set combo, or let's just say Scythe of the Cycle to keep it out of sets. Like, so I get the 400% minion damage when when I have a secondary skill or in bone armor up, and then I have that on a furnace too, or something. Like I don't like.
Maybe.
You could get a Tragul's Fang that had scythe powers on it. Like you could just have some crazy combinations of things, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah. I wasn't really thinking like that insane, but like marginally just better, right? So you could corrupt like a pestilence chest and get like 15% more poison damage or 10% more cooldown reduction. Stuff that would like obviously really, really impact you. I wasn't necessarily thinking like, oh, you just get a crazy TPS legendary effect built onto the legendary already.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Probably
That's what we
break
were
the
talking
game.
about.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like you corrupt the item and you just get a random affix. It could be like a little stat creep. It could be a whole new.
I mean, it could be
added.
I mean, like, you get that kind of power creep sometimes when you double corrupt something in PoE. Like you straight up have more than doubled your damage just from like a single corruption. So like, I mean, maybe that's the thing.
Or you could corrupt it and it's like,
deletes.
This thing is minus 5,000% poison damage. You're just like, okay, well, I can never use this again.
And the reason I would go with the corruption as well here, because, again, we get this follower, but this doesn't necessarily like change how, you and I are going to go into the season or how we're going to play the game. Or is this going to add more time that we're playing to the game? Not really. It's like it's QOL and it's like cool and it's nice, but like it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't drive more playtime.
The system definitely breaks multiplayer even worse.
Well, sure, but it also is encouraging. Like, okay, I have an ancient chest and I bricked it. I got to farm another ancient chest, and then maybe I keep backups. And it's like, well, I hit a corruption on that one. That's good. Or like you have to play more to like.
We want reasons to farm,
right?
Right. So I think that's part of the hang up in Diablo 3 right now in general is that when they change sets or they change things, they're changing the way we play the game slightly. But ultimately, you're playing the game for the same activities and for the same end game. You're playing to get ancient and primals, to augment gear, and you're doing the same activities of Nephilim rifts, greater rifts.
Yeah.
Those are the four things. That's the four pillars of the game. And so if you change a set, it doesn't matter. You're still doing the same things. You're still trying to get ancients. You're still trying to get augments, and you're still doing rifts and greater rifts. Nothing changed.
Yep.
And at least if you're corrupting items and breaking them, at least you're adding more carrots to the table to chase.
Something you're always chase instead of just like chasing the Paragon. It's like you're always, and then like say you got that, primal ancient chess piece. And then you get like an ancient chess piece, and you're like, well, that's immediate garbage. But if there's a corruption system, then like, oh, you're gonna keep it. Like, yay, that's another thing I can possibly corrupt.
Try to do it,
yeah.
Or you can just YOLO it and corrupt your primal.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because I got a good backup, right? Yeah, exactly.
And then you're gonna have people linking that perfectly rolled primal with
and that creates moments that you never forget.
Physical damage or something. And the cool thing is, like, let's say you corrupted a primal chest and they gave you something nutty like 40% physical, and you're playing a cold skill, you're like, oh man,
you change your build, I guess.
Like I'm figuring out a way to make this work. So it could change some things too, but ultimately I still think that that's just chasing more loot. Like we're already chasing ancients, and they try to be like, okay, now chase primals. And it's like, okay, so now we're going to chase primals that we've corrupted. And it's like, so it's just a chase. And I think we've kind of seen what adding more chases does to the game. Like, does it help? I don't know, man. It artificially inflates a little bit, but how long was that going to carry?
More than it would have, right? I think if the answer is like, well, you're going to play a little bit more.
Yeah.
Then you won.
I think it's a great idea. I don't know if that's something they can ever implement.
You could even do something like unlock additional runes. Like that would be pretty crazy too. Like on a skill, like you could totally change how you played. Like you could have a whole new build based around just a corruption alone.
Yeah, just like you add an item to a thing and it says unlocks the singularity rune. Or whatever.
Right.
And it's on like a random piece. It's on like a zodiac ring or something, and you're like, oh shit. Like, okay, cool. There's like unlocks whatever rune for some dumb shit skill that you've never used in your life. Like just think of like some obscure like bone spirit. Like who used bone spirit before this PTR? Like I don't think I had ever cast bone spirit. I've seen videos of people using it to RGK me, but other than that, it's like I didn't know what the runes did, So
anyway, super off topic. Good job. And then the skills. Did you really? I mean, what kind of impact did you feel from the skill changes to the followers?
So they did do the thing that I was talking about last week, where they paired up the cheat death with the most powerful skill.
Yeah.
So like the poison cloud from the scoundrel and the cheat death were on the same tier. And there was a couple other ones that were on the same tier, but I didn't really. I went through and made my initial choices, and then I was done. Like
Yeah.
they're only real choices. Do you want more power or do you want cheat death? Well, am I playing softcore or hardcore? I'm playing softcore, more power. Playing hardcore, cheat death.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty easy no-brainer. So I don't know if I like those being on the same tier. I mean, I guess I do. I don't think power creep's too crazy for solo anyways, so I think they should kind of open that up a little bit. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think like you said, the good feedback of, one, not really being able to see the Knight's Veil circle, that kind of feels bad. I think that planning around it it's not really, I don't know. I kind of see it as like the Oculus Ring. Like if everything lines up, fantastic.
There's a couple times where I noticed that my dudes were standing in the scoundrel poison, because stuff just evaporated.
Really?
Like there was a time where I'm like, ooh, I don't know where all that damage came from. They had to have been standing in the poison cloud. Like it's the only thing I could think of, because it was just like for a little bit I had this insane power, and then it was gone, and there was no pylon, nothing. They definitely need to fix that so we can notice it. I couldn't even tell how long of a cooldown it had, because it was so hard to see it, that I'm like, I don't really feel like spending 10 minutes trying to test this and see how long the cooldown is. I can't see it anyways, so we're just going to act like it's not there,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Enchantress was super noticeable for me. The cooldown reduction, I was getting up to like 90 cooldown reduction on a Necro. Like, what? That's just insane. It just made everything more smooth. A lot of the builds I play are around cooldown reduction, so like that was really, really nice. Getting a second cheat death, like a drop, I could drop the cheat death, the final service. That was a nice quality of life. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was nice. For sure. I did like the Enchantress in particular. I don't love the idea, to be honest, of running a scoundrel just to get that potential circle that's like perfectly placed in my favor. I don't like that. I don't like the idea of like maybe having to push myself into that, because it's meta, and like that damage spike I'm going to see sometimes is just worth it to run it, versus like something that's just consistently good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's the RNG basis of it. I get that. And like that seems to be what this game's turned into. Everything's RNG.
Yeah.
And some builds can play to that a lot more than others, right? So if you see the poison cloud on the ground and you're in a build that can potentially group things up, or can teleport to that circle and draw enemies into it, because if it lasts for 10 seconds, even if you get a couple seconds of it, like it's probably worth it. But but yeah, it was impossible to notice anyway. So until they fix that, it's not. I'm just gonna stick with my Enchantress and get that cooldown, unless the build uses no cooldown.
Yeah. The thing I was surprised about was, we've been running a Templar this whole time, like all of us, right? Yeah. And so we had been trained to stack cooldown reduction on gear, because it would make the Templar's heals come off cooldown faster. And it turns out the cooldown really does nothing for everyone else, which is really odd. It doesn't make them do their skills more often.
Any faster. I wonder why not.
I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, but
I found that to be really interesting. But that was the only other thing of note, I think, on the followers. It's just like,
yeah, I didn't really have much else to add if you want me there.
Solar leaderboard updates. It's just blatantly cool, to be like, okay. I like how they implement it as well. It's really easy. It's not like some weird.
Cool. Yeah, and you see that little space right under. That's where you could put the Paragon or hours filtered. We'll see who wins the poll.
Right here, yeah,
right there. I mean, it literally would fit right there. It's such an easy drop down.
Mm-hmm.
You just put brackets in there if you don't want to let us type in whatever number we want. So,
yeah,
it's pretty damn.
But yeah, it's super cool. Like to be able to okay, where are people pushing the trigold? 121. Good job. Blood. Yeah, Bloodlance again. Yay. Not surprising, but it's just a cool feature. I don't know if you have really anything to add on that. No, that performed exactly how I expected it to, and I was pleased. Basically, was my failure.
super happy with it. It did everything I thought. It seems like the developers took a lot of time to flesh it out and make it work like properly.
Mhm.
So,
And then let's get into Firebirds first. So
all right.
walk us through the Firebirds. What happened? What'd you test?
So we built the Firebirds out, and initially my thought process is exploding blast, right? Because you can stack Wanda Woe,
Mm-hmm.
stack whatever offhand is. I forget the name.
Yeah,
for
I
the
know what you're talking about. Yeah, explosive blast. Yeah,
Orb of Infinite something. I don't know.
Depth or
Whatever
something? Yeah.
the name. But basically, you can have yourself like ticking off some Fire Blast crazy, crazy, crazy fast, and it doesn't interfere with your other casting and movement. It's just something you can spam, and it doesn't have any animation delays or lag or anything like that. So it's a really good skill. So initially, we went and we built that out, and I think I did like a 120 on the first run, which is kind of nutty to just jump on a build and just push a 120. Like you're not used to doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of noticed is like I don't think the explosive blast was triggering the Firebirds like it was supposed to. Like it was working some, but not near as much. And then so it turns out that Arcane Torrent with Flame Ward ends up triggering it like on every projectile. So if you channeled Arcane Torrent with Flame Ward, you'll notice it shoots out like 5 or 6 projectiles at a time as you're channeling. Every one of those would pop the Firebird 6-piece bonus, the 50 stacks times the 4,000% and all that. And so
How does that work, real quick? So because I didn't play this at all.
Mhm.
So say you're making an explosive blast build, and you know, because you want to be speed, right? Because you get that cooldown reduction on the 4-piece. That makes sense. But like,
Yeah.
are you porting and then you do a spin with the disintegrate real quick?
So what I do is disintegrate. So for me personally, I put disintegrate on right click, and so you're right clicking and you're shooting the Cyclops laser beam from your wizard.
Right.
As soon as you touch something, it ignites them, and then that gives you all the things, right? So if you look at the set bonuses, the 2-piece, I believe, ignites an enemy and they start burning down. The 4-piece, you get 80% damage reduction when somebody's ignited, and then 4,000% damage while something's ignited too, right? So you're getting all this damage bonus and all this damage reduction just from burning an enemy. So as long as that enemy doesn't die, and they're like, I don't know what the range is, but it's definitely way off screen.
Really?
You know, you still have it.
That's good.
I don't think they have to be on the actual visible part of the
It
screen.
didn't used to be that way. It would pop off really, really fast.
It feels to me like it was they could get off screen and you still had the toughness. I didn't ever feel squishy when I was moving from pack to pack. And so they burn forever. And then the problem is you start channeling and your stacks build up really fast. It takes maybe 3 seconds to get to 50 stacks. I don't know, 3 to 5 seconds. I'm not 100% sure, but as soon as you let go, they start dropping though. And they drop relatively quickly too. So it's a thing where you're always channeling. And I don't know that I like that, because once you channel up to 50, then you have 100% cooldown on the wizard teleport. And this reminds me how clunky wizard teleport is, because in my opinion, the way that this was designed to play the pure Firebirds was to have 50 stacks and teleport move everywhere. Never walk anywhere, just teleport only. But teleport has a cast delay to it. It feels like crap compared to dashing strike on a monk. It feels worse than even teleport that necros get, blood rush. It doesn't even feel as good as blood rush. And I definitely feel like wizard teleport needs to be looked into and have some animation delay removed or some internal cooldown removed, because it just feels bad, especially if the set's going to be played this way. But you get your 50 stacks, you teleport around, you never walk. It's like playing it's kind of like when you give advice to play your T16 Lance builds, your Invincible Lance build. Yeah. So it's like that. Like once you get your stacks, you never walk anywhere.
Right.
And so you're right clicking and you're teleporting. And then on top of that, with the explosive blast build, you're smashing the explosive blast button. So you're starting to already have this weird combination of buttons you have to press. You're spamming a button like Devour, which is like, constantly mashing it. You're holding down right click because you constantly want to channel. You need to teleport, so you have to have another bind for teleport, or if it's on left click, then shift click to teleport. And so before you know it, there's 3 keys that are constantly getting mashed, and the other 2 are your shields. It's not an impossible play style. It's not even a hard play style, but it's a very awkward play style until you get used to it. And it's a very tiring play style. So if you're playing it, eventually your fingers are going to wear out and you're going to be like, okay, I got to play something else.
Yeah.
So it's a mashy play style, and I dislike that. I like the builds where you don't mash buttons. I personally like. I think whoever invented Devour needs to be smacked a little bit. Like, I don't understand why you would ever. Why would you design a game where like you're expecting people to just smash that button for hours? Like, I don't understand that. You know what I mean? But the playstyle is cool. You run around, you ignite enemies, you blow them up, and then you have to explode the 6-piece bonus on something. Either you're using your explosive blast or your arcane torrent. With the arcane torrent variant, then what you're doing is you're lining up your COE. So what you're going to do is you're going to try to find an Oculus circle, and you're going to teleport to the Oculus circle. And then when you hit fire element, you're going to switch to arcane torrent, channel that arcane torrent, and blow things up. So you can see this is some of the play footage of it right here. If you guys are listening in the YouTube video or the live stream, we have it up and you're blowing it up. And so I had to figure out the play style. So I don't know if this run I had figured out, we'll start getting away and channeling arcane torrent during fire cycle or whatever. But
then that's what this is the gameplay I expected. It's like whoop, do a circle.
Yeah, I just do that to ignite everything.
Yeah.
And then
that's what I would think.
You see explosive blast just sitting. I mean, you're sitting there just trying to do it. And like I said, I don't know. It doesn't look like I have arcane torrent on my bars yet for this one. So this is before I had figured that out. This is where I still had explosive blast. So I don't know what run that one has arcane torrent on it. So yeah. So in somewhere in here, you'll see me jump out during fire cycle and start arcane torrenting things and blowing stuff up. And then I started to realize, it still does a lot of damage. You can even use it outside of fire cycle and it still blows stuff up. So basically hit 50 stacks and then arcane torrent. So play style it's super tanky. It was crazy tanky. Like, look at me eat these arcane beams. I don't even move. I don't have to move. My health never dips. And I don't have a shield pylon right there. Like, I'm just eating arcane beams. I'm standing in poison.
Does this use wizard shield or whatever?
This is the Ashengar blood bracers, which give you 90% potency on shields. It's using magic weapon deflection, which gives you a shield every time you attack, and then the disintegrate basically stacks your shield super fast. And then you're using galvanizing ward, which gives you a shield every time you don't take damage for 5 seconds. But it's not your shield take damage, it's your HP take damage. So as long as you maintain your shield, that galvanizing ward keeps resetting. So it's pretty nutty.
Are you able to run squirts on this, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I had squirts on too. Yep.
At high level. That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like I said, this is like, the second or third run we're doing. It's not like we've even mastered the play style yet.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
This is still like new stuff. And it's just super, like, look at this thing. I got electrified right there. We got arcane beams. We got grotesque explosion. I don't know if there's a grotesque in that pack. It's hard to see, but so basically you'll start finding the Oculus circles and just teleporting to them and just blowing stuff up.
Yeah.
So,
and is this pure Firebird?
Pure Firebirds right here.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this is okay. I didn't all those things somehow. Once your damage gets hit, then you need to start getting nervous because you don't have your galvanizing ward shield respawning. And then so you might have to run off for a second. So I probably could end up dying here. Oh, and by the way, you got double cheat deaths.
Right.
So, it's like
follower maybe or no?
Yeah, follower cheat death. I didn't take it, but you could. You can have triple cheat deaths in this setup. So for hardcore, this would be nuts, right? So I did this at a 140 just to see if I could take damage, and I could basically tank any damage at 140 also with this setup. So I didn't have the damage output figured out yet, but the damage intake was fine at 140.
Did you try just like being immune to all damage? Pretty easy to do on an Echo. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, pretty. But anyway, it's pretty cool. Yeah. And then we tried the Tarasha Firebird. That one's even. So there's 2 different variations of this. There's actually way more than that. There's a frozen orb. There's a couple different frozen orb variations.
Yeah, I saw the people wearing the dagger for frozen orb. How does that work?
So I don't even remember the setup that I used, but mine was slightly different than what other people, like some people had used it on leaderboard. I used the galvanizing ward combo again, with Ashengar blood bracers and magic weapon deflection because I like the tankiness that it provides having that shield. And so I instantly went in and cleared like a 130, 135 with this setup on like the first try. But the playstyle was different. So this one, you're not channeling the disintegrate to get the stacks. This is Energy Twister that you're watching right now, actually. But you're not, and this one wasn't near as tanky. I wasn't able to get the magic weapon deflection in this setup. So this setup, I think you're watching right now, I actually got rid of teleport just for fun. I wanted to see could I do a 135 with no teleport and just tank it, and I did actually. I think I even did a 140 maybe like that. It's just stupid. It's like I was just playing around with it just to see what we could do, but basically, with Frozen Orb, though, you're not spamming the Disintegrate. You're just shooting the orbs. You're getting your Talrasha's four-piece elemental bonus. So you have to proc Arcane, Frost, Electricity, or Lightning, and Arcane. And so you're going to get, Arcane from the teleport and Lightning from whatever the Lightning Orb thing's called. I forget, maybe called Lightning Orb. Frozen from the Arcane Orb, and then your Fire from Disintegrate. So once you have all four elements, then you'll see I'm only disintegrating just to keep my
Ignite stacks,
my stacks up, to keep Ignite on something, and then to keep my Talrasha stacks at 4. And so the Arcane or the Energy Orb, the Lightning Orb, whatever it's called, has no mana cost to it. So we can freely channel that one to keep our stacks going.
It's from the auto attack?
It's from the whatever class.
So it's a 25% chance on when you cast a spark to do the Arcane Orb. How often do you feel like that's going off?
No, that doesn't seem to go off that much. It does throw it out, though. It's the Arcane Orb that is the Frozen Orb that is getting thrown out from that.
Okay, so you're actually mainly casting the Frozen Orb.
Yeah, the Frozen Orb's doing all the damage. The Lightning Orb is just proccing Talrashas, and it's free to keep the Talrasha stacks up.
So what's the dagger doing for these people?
Dagger gives arcane damage or damage.
Okay, so procs, but you don't care about the proc. It's just the damage that's doing.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100%. Honestly, I looked at so many different things. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh yeah, so it's a proc, but yeah,
it's just raw damage too.
It's raw damage too. That's a weird weapon. Sorry, Wizards.
Yeah. So sucks. It's nutty, dude. Like some of the damage numbers I saw, like 2 quintillions. Like, and this is like non-optimized stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I saw like 1.8 quintillions and 2 quintillions and stuff, and it's just and then that might have been with Power Pylon, I don't remember, but I remember seeing the number being like, oh my gosh. So you can see I'm throwing Lightning and then Frozen's just in there, just to keep the stacks and keep stuff going. Damage is insane. I mean, look at the time. Mm-hmm. It's just like it's a joke. It was fun to play, though. In all honesty, this was my favorite build of all the ones to play.
Okay.
So, because I didn't have to smash any buttons. I wasn't spamming Explosive Blast. I didn't have to hold Disintegrate. I could actually walk around and not have to use Teleport the whole time, because Teleport feels so clunky. So this was my favorite build to play. And then I did Energy Twister, which was a variant of this, and it was less tanky, maybe more area damage. It's kind of hard to say. Different playstyle altogether, but the same general principle. Super powerful, broken, and tanky. So,
yeah. I'm kind of scouring through the boards here. I'm not really seeing kind of any amazing speed. I guess a 120. But I wonder if that's like consistent 120 with Rebuke Energy Twister.
Watching the Talrasha thing was like, what was that, a 130 or 135 that we just watched, and I did it in like 9 minutes or something stupid. You know what I mean? So I mean, a solo one, and that's with unoptimized gear, and like not even knowing the playstyle, like playing the playstyle twice. You know, like that. Those are the things. Like you got to think when you play a build for 3 months, you learn the intricacies. You naturally have the rhythms and the timings and everything down in your head. Like when you're vlogging in something and just throwing it on the first night and you're still just smashing a riff like that, like, all right, that should tell you a lot, so.
Yeah. So, okay. So you kind of given us the play styles, the impression, like what would you like to happen? Like, what would you like to see changed about these?
Depends on how much I do?
Yeah, what
Do
if?
I
Yeah, the
design?
categories in two different ones. So one, if you could like, if development time wasn't really a thing, or
Yeah.
two, like, is there a quick fix in your eyes for this?
So Wizard Teleport definitely needs some overhaul. If you expect the class to move around with Teleport, which I honestly feel that's how the design intent was. I think they designed this with the intent that you never walk once you get your 50 stacks of Firebirds. Wizard Teleport has to get buffed. It needs to have that internal cooldown lowered so you can teleport faster. Um, if they did that and they made Explosive Blast actually proc when it hits and then lower the damage because it's pretty nutty right now. And then you'd have to lower toughness a little bit too, because I do think it felt a little tanky as well.
Mm.
I think you can make the pure Firebirds work, but you're never going to play it because the Talrasha variants are always going to be better. So, in order to make people actually play the 6-piece, if that's your intent, you got to move the 4-piece damage bonus to the 6-piece. You have to.
Yeah.
As long as it's on the 4-piece, you're never going to play this set. You're only going to play Talrasha's 6-piece, Firebirds 4-piece. You know?
Yeah, you know, one of the things I heard a lot of, and I'm sure, oh, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but were people kind of just being disappointed that they're channeling on Wizard again. Did you get that impression when playing it, or?
I like the skill a lot. I like channeling on a wizard a lot. I could see if you're a wizard main, how you're like, damn, really? Because we've done this in Talrashas. We've done this in Veers. You've channeled in Veers. You've channeled in Talrashas forever. And this is going to end up being another Talrasha build. And now Firebirds will be channeling too. So yeah, I can see that. I do think the Frozen Orb variant of this didn't require channeling, so to say. And I liked it. So if they embrace, I don't know what Blizzard wants to embrace, man. Do they want to support the Talrasha 6, Firebirds 4? Is that because if they're not going to acknowledge that, then that'll be the play style. And if they don't want you doing it, then they got to redesign it altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I personally don't feel that way. I like Disintegrate. I think it's cool to channel. But I can understand why people would say that though. Because if you think of historically, Talrasha's Meteor in season 11 or 12 was channeling. Before that, there was the Lightning Archon that proc paralysis in like season 7, 8, 9, whatever that was. After that, you had Veers again with Chantoto, which was definitely channeling.
Starpack
And then
was dominant.
Firebirds.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I get it, man. I definitely get it.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I think it's cool. I don't like the combination of buttons you had. I don't like mashy, and Explosive Blast is mashy. And I think that's, if they fix it, that'll be the way to play it.
So you mentioned it being mashy.
Yeah.
How much more mashy was the Necromancer?
Okay. Oh man, I'll let you get into Necro. Yeah. Necro was, God, dude. I hated it, but I didn't at the same time. I don't understand. Okay, Necro's always been mashy. Maybe so I accept it for that. And we played different builds too, I think. Did you have Siphon in yours all the time?
Well, yeah, because so the way I played it is different from the way everybody else was playing it. Because so a lot of people were just like, "Oh, that guy's doing the best. So let me copy that." But the rank 1 was a what's that necklace called? Stewart's, right? Which you could literally never pull off. Because there's no way to keep up a shield on a Necro in a high GR, so it's not even a possibility. So I knew that was going to be out. So it's like, I'm not even going to like get used to this play style. We're gonna look at other ways. It's kind of like what made me popular in Diablo to begin with. Is like we started looking at other play styles because we knew that something was going to get nerfed. And so my immediate thought process is like, well, okay. One, we're not going to be permanently invulnerable, so you're not going to be keeping up squirts. So how else can we kind of ramp up the damage on some of these skills? And so, early on, I immediately played with, the Death Valley rune and speed, and that was a ton of fun. Actually, I did not expect. I was actually having a load of fun, just like going into like a GR speed. And
so what is? Tell people what the Death Valley rune is, because a lot of people probably don't even know what you mean when you say that. So explain. I guess maybe give a really quick summary of how you're playing it.
Yeah. So basically, for speeds, I was throwing in like an Ingyam with Blood Rush, dropping Bone Spirit from the build altogether because it didn't add any value. Immediately I knew it didn't add any value for like speed or anything like that. So it's basically just like proc your Ingyam and then run on the Rift spamming Death Valley, which is the rune on Land of the Dead that just sucks like everything on the screen into like one area to get hit, basically. And that was just was broken.
To real quick answer the spammy question, it's super spammy and it sucks. And you know what really sucked was keeping the mages up. I hated it. I hated trying to keep the mages up when I was doing the push. But we put together a T16 speed build with this the other night. I spent some time just trying to work out something, and it was kind of the same. I ended up going, what's the rune where you do the big circle of AoE around you?
The blood one. Yeah, what's the one called?
It's a physical one. I don't remember the name of it, but we did that one for a while. Yeah, Deathstorm. And it was like you could run. So comparatively to like a Singularity Mage or like an Invincilancer, it's definitely slower for T16s. But it was easy to play. Like new players could pick it up and just smash some rifts pretty quick with low skill level. So I think a lot of people would like it, but I don't think ultimately it would be the optimal play for experienced players. You know what I mean? But it was super spammy though, dude. I don't like spammy builds at all. And this one is like literally mash half of the keys on your bar. You're like, so.
But yeah, so I jumped into the speed thing, which I'm showing right now. Super fun. And immediately jumped into like ways of making the poison go far higher. Obviously running nairs and getting like 5 stacks is probably going to be the play. I think the feedback that I gave was definitely like, okay, here we are yet again. We're spamming mages in a necro build, which was a thing. If you've been running rats, you've been spamming mages. Even if you push LOD Poison Scythe, you're hitting mages. And if you play Rathma, its original version of Rathma, you're spamming mages. If you push with LOD, you're spamming mages. So yeah, it definitely feels bad to be spamming mages yet again. I definitely see where they were going with this set. There is some synergy proposed in the set, but it just doesn't work because I don't think that basically the way they want you to play it is you have to run mages, you have to run revive, you have to run command skeletons, you have to run bone spirit, and you have to run army of the dead. It's 5 skills that they're expecting you to have on your bar. And so it gives you one slot,
one skill
to basically like fill in. And so it doesn't work. And like you said, the push variation, I think any version of the push variation, even mine, was just like you have to run a generator at a high level. So you lose that 6th slot immediately. So you're basically locked into...
You're locked into the build.
Those 5 things plus a generator. And what ends up happening is like, obviously skeletons cost juice and you have to just spam your generator. So you're just sitting there, you're left clicking as fast as you can, you're spamming mages as fast as you can, and then on top of that you're spamming Army of the Dead as fast as you possibly can. It's just like, and it's so bad. Like I'm literally sitting there like left right clicking and I'm tapping another key. Like this is
exactly.
The whole build.
And like I remember thinking like, so I had mages on right click and I had Grim Scythe on left click, and then you have like Army of the Dead, I like 2, 3, whatever. So I ended up spamming like, whatever. I'm spamming 3, I'm spamming 1, I'm spamming whatever. And then I'm spamming right click and I'm like throwing in left clicks in there. And I remember thinking like halfway through the first rift, like, dude, my right click finger is about to fall off. This is stupid. This is so dumb.
Yeah.
Then I started realizing like, you know what? I can't even keep more than like 2 or 3 mages up at a time anyways. Let me just pool my essence and then time all my mages for a poison cycle when I'm standing in a circle, right? So then I started like just getting lazy and doing that, and just to pump the damage up so I could get 10 mages out when I was going to hit poison cycle in a circle. And then it worked, but it was just like, and then just timing your bone armor to stun during that thing to proc Crisbees too. So there were some things you could do to make the play style a little bit more, big brain, I guess, but it wasn't, it was super spammy, but And that all being said, it's probably just because you couldn't die. Like you were literally invincible in this setup. Like 100% uptime on 100% damage reduction. So you can't die. Like you really can't die.
Yeah,
That was
unless you
kind
just
of fun to
forget to
play.
cast Army of the
Yeah.
Dead.
I mean, unless there's nothing to hit, the only way you died is if you were transitioning from pack to pack and somehow you had some cooldown left on Army of the Dead, you know. But it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
For that. It was fun, but it can't go live like that,
No.
man.
And it's interesting too, because like chat's reaction is like, "Oh my god, this build looks amazing." Because I mean, it does look cool. You got the poison mages out, you got the poison circle, you've got poison things happen, you got a ton of minions out, and people are like, "Oh my god, I can't wait to play this." But like when they actually get their hands on it and they actually get to play it, you're like, "Oh my god."
So how would you fix it? What are you gonna do to fix this? If this were up to you, what's your quick win, and then what's your ultimate win?
Yeah. So my immediate feedback was, I see what you guys are trying to do here, and I appreciate it. But I think you're trying to do too much, right? So they're trying to do too much. So my immediate suggestion is, well, maybe we should consider separating the two. Like maybe there's actually two different playstyles to be found here in the Rathma setup. Like maybe we could have like a whole Army of the Dead setup, and maybe we could have a whole Bone Spirit setup. Maybe we don't need to combine them into one build and lock people's skills up. I think if they absolutely have to keep this playstyle, if this is their way, then we need to bake in something. Like one of these skills, or maybe two of these skills that we have to run 100% of the time, get baked into the set somehow. Like maybe we just get Revive for free. Like maybe, or maybe Devour somehow, or
just last forever too, so you don't have to F and spam them the whole time.
Right.
Like that would be that's a win, but then you're dumbing it down even more.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, you're not. You're going to be spamming Army of the Dead. I think either way you come at this build. And if they don't want you to spam mages, yeah, they could probably give you the mages for free, so you're not spamming that. But then you're still like, well, you're still kind of making sure that you keep up your command skeletons, maybe optimizing your Bone Spirit. Like if you Bone Spirit actually worked in this setup, imagine if it did, right? Like we'd be spam clicking 4 things, and that would be terrible. You'd be spam clicking Revive even, right? If the set actually played how they wanted it to, you would be spam clicking Revive to get more cooldown reduction on your Bone Spirit. You'd be spamming Command Skeletons to make sure it stays up. You'd be spamming Mages to make sure you have your 10, and you'd be spamming Army of the Dead to have your damage, basically.
And then you're spamming your generator because you have to have it to make the main. You can literally face roll on the keyboard the whole time. It's you got to get rid of the spam, please. Like I don't know, man. I hate spammy builds, honestly. This was like probably one of the most fun spammy builds I've played, but ultimately though, I don't know who makes the design decisions when it comes. Like, have you guys ever sat down for several hours or a weekend of just spamming 1 or spamming 2 or spamming 1, 2, 3, 4 left click, right click? Like you can't have 8, 10, 12-hour play sessions doing that.
No.
That's what you're asking people to do. So you're basically inviting people to break TOS.
Macro. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're inviting people to break TOS. And so either A, bake in autocast to the game. It should have been added at this point already anyways. If you right click a skill in a rift or wherever, it just automatically casts it when it comes off cooldown. Like I don't even know. Like that should have been there as soon as they invented Devour. Or change it, man. You got to make mages last like 10 times as long so we don't have to spam them, or make them indefinite, like Revive. Make Army of the Dead. I guess you could spam Army of the Dead and Grim Scythe. And
that goes back to, I think that's a big feels mad moment too, right? So obviously the community doesn't want spam mages, and that sucks too. But then the thing that maybe most people don't see that could happen here is, so say once the squirts things goes away, because you can't Rathma shield permanently anymore, you're probably going to want to run Haunted Visions so you can get double mages. And then you're going to want to run the Grim Scythe because the synergy you get from getting all the essence back with one swipe. And then now we're back into a build where we're spamming Scythe. Like we use Scythe in the Bone Spear push. We use Scythe in LOG, obviously Poison Scythe. And now we have another build that we're going to use Scythe and mages. And it's just like, you're forcing players into the same play styles, even though they're using some different skills on their bar, and it doesn't feel good. So
yep, I agree. So what's your fix, man? What's your win? What do you do?
yeah, I think the fix is either again separate those playstyles. So you have an Army of the Dead playstyle and you have a Bone Spirit playstyle. If you have to keep them together, then you got to rethink Bone Spirit. I don't think you want people running around with 9,999 stacks of Selena buff on their bracers.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, they have to cap the range on it anyways. Otherwise, players are going to abuse that for RGK. But yeah, you got to bake in the minions. I don't think that people want to be casting minions. You cast Revive once at the start of the Rift, and you never, ever cast it again. But maybe that would change if you actually use Bone Spirit. I don't know. But yeah, I think that spamming minions is not a good playstyle here.
Yeah, I don't. So if you change Revive into where you have to cast it more frequently, then it's just like mages all over again. And I honestly enjoyed the fact that we had to get the minions to revive in the first place, and that made command skeletons almost mandatory too, because you couldn't do the damage to get your initial set of revive minions without the command skeletons damage bonus plus just them being there to tank and deal damage for you. But I don't necessarily hate that the revive minions are gone or that they last forever. And I kind of feel like in a minion, like to me, Rathma is like the stereotypical cookie cutter necro build. Like this is your necro that comes down and he raises an army of dead and he's attacking with his army of dead, right? So I'm okay with having my mages last forever and my revive last forever. And I would like to get the golem in there, and I would like to have all these pets. And I kind of want them to do the damage, but at the same time, if they do all the damage, then what are you doing as the player? Running around and trying not to die?
Yeah, we don't want the Witch Doctor playstyle on the Necro.
We don't want that either. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I think that that raises a good question. I think that I don't know that I agree. Like, yeah, so you're gonna if you ran in Bone Spirit, the thing that none of us really got to play with because Bone Spirit sucks.
Yeah,
was the secondary effect of Bone Spirit. Where every single time you consume a corpse, you get a charge back, right? Basically, and especially on a skill like Revive, you're getting 10 different things. So, we didn't get to play with that playstyle, so it's a really hard decision to be like, well, we don't want to spam Revive. I do think that spamming Revive could hurt 2-piece because like when you resummon them, they no longer attack until they find a target, and so you lose some cooldown reduction on Army of the Dead because they have to like come out with their animation and then run towards the target and then start hitting, and then you can start proccing 2-piece again. So that would be really bad if you're sitting there spamming Revive and constantly resummoning them just to get more cooldown on Bone Spirit, and that synergy doesn't really work. So that would be really, really bad.
What if you had them just reduce cooldown on Bone Spirit like you do Army of the Dead? The same. If they're attacking and hitting things, it reduces the cooldown on it, Maybe,
but then you run into like, okay, well now am I just spamming right click plus Bone Spirit like just constantly? Is that super fun? Yeah. I mean, maybe it's better, but because you're using skills you haven't used before.
Yeah. There's got to be some way to get Bone Spirit back without.
Yeah, I think that one thing you could potentially do is bake in Revive with Devour, like somehow bake in maybe Devouring Aura, and when you revive, you get it. Or when you devour, you get a revive minion.
Automatically revives, but then if you're if you had devouring aura on, it would constantly reset. But if you spammed it, then you would stop spamming when you had your full army, and they could attack.
Yeah,
and then you could spam it when you lose one or two.
Well, if it's devouring aura, you never click it; it's just there.
No. But if you just had devour, let's just say devour did it baked in, regardless of what rune you had selected, because then you could at least control when they would reset too by pressing the button.
Yeah, true.
And Devour would also give you essence back. So maybe you wouldn't have to sit there and spam your scythe or your generator, right?
Maybe. But then you run into like the RG. It's like, now what?
Yeah. Well, when your minions die, they leave a corpse that you can devour.
Yeah, it's tough.
Right?
It's tough.
I don't know.
But then we're asking them to not make us revive or to cast minions again. So how do we? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough. So like I think that this is presenting itself, right? So the problem that we're arriving to is, there's a ton of things we can do to make it better, and we could sit here and we can theory craft. But I think there's a fatal flaw with the set in and of itself, is that no matter what thing we kind of try to swap out to make it better, there's still like a clunkiness that happens. So I don't know. I think that they're going to have to go back to the drawing board a little bit with this. I don't think they have to go too far, but I think it's probably going to require more dev effort time than we're going to get, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Is what I'm fearful for.
So I think that ultimately there's no way it goes with a permanent Rathma shield.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do to Rathma shield? Are they going to break Rathma shield?
They're just going to remove it from Rathma shield.
You think so?
Yeah.
And Rathma shield's gone? Like it just doesn't affect Army of the Dead anymore?
No Army of the Dead on the Rathma shield, yeah.
I think that's horrible.
I mean, it feels bad, but what else? You can't do anything else if you want to keep this playstyle.
Just make it like 60% damage reduction instead of immunity.
But then you already have 80% DR from the set.
Well, I'm just whatever number it takes to make it feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know. Rathma shield feels good in those Army of the Dead popping builds where you're super squish, but then maybe if Pestilence gets like mitigation in the future, you don't need that as much. I don't know.
I don't know, man. It just sucks to see skills getting broken because of one set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
This walks the line to me of like Death Witch etch Sigil. Like they got nerfed because of Star Pact, and it affected so many other things that even down the line it affected. It's affecting this new set now. You know what I mean? Oh, and that was a hot topic that I didn't even touch on the wizard testing. So in Firebird, in all of these sets, I think you take for granted how immune you get to CC on other character classes. For example, like Crusaders get Akarat's Champion, and Barbarians get Wrath of the Berserker, and even Wizards get Archon form, and a lot of things. And so when you're playing the Firebirds or the Firebirds Talrasha, you have no immunity to CC. There's no way to get it on these sets. Like there's no way to get it.
I've been playing a Necro for like 2 years, so I'm used to it.
In a way. But hear me out though. This is why it's shitty. So they broke Death Wish and Etch Sigil to where you have to, or Death Wish for sure, where you have to channel for a full second before the damage bonus kicks in.
Yeah.
Right. So as you're trying to channel to get the damage bonus to kick in, to time it with your fire cycle, you have to dodge a frozen. Yeah. You get knocked back by a minion that just punches you, and everything seems to knock you back when you're not immune. You don't realize how much it is. You have to dodge, like there's just like you get wormhole, teleported, frozen, jailered, like whatever million things that they have at the game, all of it knocks you around. And so there's so many times, like I can't even tell you, like there was a couple of, like I had like 2 or 3 elites at the same time, and I don't think I ever got Death Wish to proc on the entire pack because I was constantly getting bumped around or knocked around the whole time. And it's you can't sit still and channel. And it's just, it goes back to they fucked that weapon up because of Star Pact, and now here we are a year later, and it's affecting new sets they're putting in the game because they couldn't fix that 1 millisecond of a glitch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
it's always interesting though, because like,
just break Star Pact, like just take the rune out of the game. I
don't
even care.
But
it's like,
as a Necro main, like,
yeah.
Imagine not being immune to all of that. Like that's stuff we've had to deal with since the dawn of like Poison Scythe. You get set up for this perfect, swipe, and then you get teleported. Like it just happened. Like this is something that just has happened to us forever, and we've never had that kind of immunity. So it's interesting. Like when another, class main will like switch, and it's like, oh fuck, this fucking sucks. This is all the shit that hits you normally. That's crazy because I've been stun immune this whole time, from running the form.
Get used to playing like God DH has you go into Vengeance. You know what I mean? Like every
class has it besides Necro,
has this immunity. And so like on a Vengeance DH, you don't get jailered, you don't get frozen, you don't get any of that shit. You're just immune. Barb, you Berserker Wrath, you don't notice it. Akarat's Champion, you don't notice any of it. Veers even.
Yep.
So like it's super crazy annoying. That was probably the most frustrating thing. And I think to me, I remember saying this out loud on stream. I was like, if I'm gonna play this for an entire season, I don't know if I could not rage at all the CC. Like I think I would eventually, because it was like,
you never push on a Necro. What is going on?
I think the problem is Death Wish. I think what pushes me over the edge is just Death Wish in general. Because it's not like you can't channel. Like, let's say I got the channel for a couple seconds of my fire cycle. All right, cool. But when I am trying to set up that channel and time it with fire cycle, and then I have to have an entire second of no movement and getting that off just to get the damage coefficient to proc in.
Yeah.
It was frustrating as hell, man. It was just like, this is stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why is this weapon still broken? Like, fix it and like nerf Star Pact Wizard if you have to. I don't care, but fix the weapon or take it out of the game. I think it shouldn't even exist in the game. Death Wish is what I'm saying, shouldn't exist. Death Wish has broken Wizard in so many ways, and it's like that weapon in general needs to just go.
The lucky thing here about changing Rathma Shield, like removing Army of the Dead from Rathma Shield, is it literally breaks nothing. There's no build that runs Army of the Dead. Like it's like a non-issue.
Rathma Shield when I do rats sometimes. I have in the past. Now I haven't run rats in a season or two.
Yeah, but it's not because of Army of the Dead that you're getting the invulnerability.
No. You're correct. I just use Rathma Shield for the immunity because I'm constantly landing the dead.
Yeah, and Simulacrum.
Getting that shield, I can almost have permanent.
So there's zero, like I said, there's zero risk with removing Army of the Dead from Rathma Shield.
It's just later on in the future. It just sucks to have to redesign a skill for a but I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. So if they take Rathma Shield off, are we going to have enough toughness in the build to be able to stand up?
Yeah, because it depends on, I think one of the things we didn't really get to play with was how much mitigation is, personal army giving us. It's that 10% damage mitigation. I do think one thing they could think about doing is if they wanted to get away from mages, they could give you like double the revive minions. And so you don't even have mages in the build. And then that way you don't actually need to put them on your bar. Or maybe, one thing they could do is to take mages off the set altogether. They don't count as a minion. They count towards your total damage, and you just get double revive. And so you have 20 revive minions instead of like 10 revive minions and 10 skeleton mages.
I think that's the play, honestly, man. For sure.
Yeah, and
I like that idea a lot.
And I think that what I'm scared of is that maybe they'll just remove the skeletal mage compatibility, and then you only have the 10 minions, but then you don't proc Army of the Dead as much because you don't have 20 minions hitting, instead of 10. So I hope that they foresee that too. But yeah, man, it's just I'm curious to see where this is going to go. I'm fearful for where this is going to go. I'm fearful that we'll have a season where the new Rathma is like, it's just.
What if they just lower damage and you stay permanent immune? You think there's any way that goes live?
I think that, I don't know. Maybe they don't care about, Diablo 3 becoming a meme as much as like we do as streamers. But yeah, it's a terrifying thought, right? So
if they take it off, I'm scared that it would be too squishy. But I didn't play it without the Rathma shield. But I know when the 140, when the shield dropped, I got smashed pretty hard. Like but I didn't stat for any kind of damage. Ridiculous. Like I was pure damage because I knew I was invincible. So we had squirts, we had all the things that would get you killed really fast. Topaz. At a strength.
I would actually imagine this to be more tanky than Bone Spear, which I would consider pretty tanky.
Yeah.
Because you would have the 10 mitigation from the minions. You would have potentially Captain Crimson's if he could somehow get Voracious back in this build with Devour. That would add quite a bit of mitigation. Of course, that requires freeing up a skill slot. And then 80% from the set itself is just kind of insane. So I would expect it to be a lot more tanky than you expect in like that 130 plus range, but yeah. Definitely not invulnerable.
I'm super excited. So I don't know if you had the same feeling, but so I tested Wizard, I tested Firebirds tile, regular Firebirds. Then I hopped on Necro and I played around with Necro. I tested the follower stuff a little bit, and then I was kind of like, okay, like I'm done because there's no way any of this stuff makes it to live.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm done. Like I'm not gonna keep testing this because why am I wasting my time?
Exactly.
Like it's not gonna go in.
1000% agree with that statement.
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay, let's see what they do. And I gave my feedback. I gave some feedback, at least a little bit. I still think I want to write up some more for Wizard. But we'll see what they end up doing with this. I don't think we're gonna get any changes. I think it hasn't even been a week and I'm already like pull it down and give us new stuff. I think we're going to get the full 2 weeks of just like this. Do you think we're going to get some changes come Thursday or Friday?
I really hope so because these are not good in their current form. It's kind of like, it does remind me of the Monk, right? And they iterated on that twice. So I'm hopeful that we'll see a round of, test this 2.0. I'd love to have something maybe a bit more ironed out, obviously, before the season starts. And it's not like no one got to play the set as its final form?
So like my hope for Blizz is like, don't publish a start date until we know where we're going with the sets. That way you have time to fix them. You haven't told us like, yo, you have 4 weeks until season end. Like we don't,
Right.
fine. Let's get this right.
I concur.
So,
Because this is potentially, to me, I think this has the potential to be a pretty big season. I think players that have completely ignored Diablo in the past are like, they're seeing the juice and they're like, oh, maybe we do check this one out. So I do think it's important to get these new sets right. But
I agree. I think if they can attract some audience with these,
yeah,
it'll be good. I'm really curious and excited, I guess, to see where they go with the sets, because to me, it's like there's a bunch of different variations or ways you could go with the wizard and necro, and it's like, okay, I honestly feel like the next iteration we get could be just as new as this one.
Yeah,
like it could be, this is way different. Okay, cool. Let's check this out.
Yeah. I think that they could potentially have to go in pretty different directions to make these a bit more clean. So we could see like, it's going to feel brand new. And I think that's a good call out. And that's again, that's why me and P might not be super motivated to play on the PTR, because it's like, it's weird because usually we play and it's like, man, this is so strong. This feels really good. And we're like zooming, like you don't want to stop playing it because it feels so good and it feels fresh. But when it's like this and it's like, well, this is really strong, clearly, but like it's broken and there's no way it goes forward like this. It's there's
like the second I played it, I'm like, the first time I jumped in with Firebirds and I realized, I'm like, dude, I'm in a 130 on a wizard and I am taking 0 damage. Like I don't have to worry about any mechanics. I'm like, there's no way. I instantly knew, like, there is no way this goes live.
Yeah.
There's no way this goes live. So I'm already like, I played it for fun. It was more just like, oh, this is a really cool thing. This is like a little mini season that I'll get to play PTR, and it'll never be in the game again like this. Like I'll never play this again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not super motivated to do any more testing. I can't wait to see what they do with the sets. I can't wait to see how they change the followers up, if they're going to make some visuals on their abilities and skills, and potentially maybe bake in some offense and defensive powers so we don't, turn on a defense. Game. Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of, is there any more on the patch notes? I think we covered everything, right?
I think you're correct.
I think that's it, man. It was cool. We'll see. We'll see where they go. What's your so PChild loves, Fluff hates. I'll start with the loves. I'm gonna go this is really a cop out, but I love the leaderboard filters, man.
Yeah.
And I tweeted this. I put this in every YouTube video I've made since then. I've said it on stream. I'll say it one more time on the podcast, and then I'll rest it. But I love the leaderboard filter, man. Again, that's the big win of the season, of this patch. It's low key the best thing we got out of all these sets. That'll be there forever and ever. Now we'll have this leaderboard filter. So I hope they juice it more and give us Paragon. But I love the leaderboard filter, dude.
Yeah, I agree. It's good. Fluff hates is pretty easy for me this week.
Okay.
So I posted recently the Diablo 2 panel that we were both invited in, right? And so to give chat the full picture, we were told that this was going to be a Diablo 3 panel. And so we're like, sign us up, like
for Diablo 3s too.
Let's ask some Diablo 3 questions. Let's go, Yeah. And then we got told kind of last minute that it was going to be a Diablo 2 Resurrected panel, which we still wanted to go because it's fucking Diablo, right? Like, of course. And so I end up asking some questions, when I cross-examine my Diablo 2 gameplay from years and years and years ago. I ended up asking some questions that I thought were super relevant. And I think that there's going to be a lot of players going into Diablo 2 that are going to experience maybe a not so great play style that I think could be pretty easily remedied. Because I think the biggest negative thing that could happen with Diablo 2 Resurrected is players never make it to what made Diablo 2 so great in my eyes, which was, itemization. It still holds up. Itemization in Diablo 2 is good, and you're not slammed with legendaries, and the items and the combinations of stuff you can make. It's just good. It plays well. The skill system, I think it does still hold the test of time. Like, to really select your skills, and you can break your character, and to build on, on the skills that you think are cool, and then to build your items around that. I think that's the biggest strength about Diablo 2. But there's so many things that don't work in the current year, and there's going to be a lot of players that like tune in and play for the first time, and it's going to be like, ugh, if they don't, I feel like change some stuff. But anyways, long story short, naturally when, a streamer makes some comments you don't like, the first play isn't to like unfollow them or say, hey, streamer, I don't agree with your comments. Obviously, the play is to immediately give them a death threat, which happened to me last week. Woke up to a nice friendly email.
Funny.
So yeah, obviously some really passionate Diablo 2 fans out there in the universe that because I suggested instance reset and force movement, they threatened my life.
Wonderful ideas. Like, listen, man, I don't know. It's 2021. You really want to leave new game, make new game? You don't. You want to force move bothers you? Like, turn it off if you don't like it, man.
Right. Force move bothers you so much you're willing to murder someone over it. That's interesting take.
It's weird. I've only had one death threat ever from streaming. And what happened in mine is I was doing a raffle to do some carriage on the stream. I was like, hey, do a raffle. I'll carry you if you need to be carried, whatever. And so this guy, I guess he won the raffle, but he couldn't get in the team. And then he somehow got upset that he wasn't able to join the team. Right. And I was like, no worries, dude. Like, I'll get you in the next team. It's all good. You know what I mean? Like, just hang tight for a couple minutes. And, when we get a new team, I'll give you a spot. And he was like so pissed off. He just kept ranting. And like, I won the raffle and you gave it to somebody else. Like, like the whole time. And then eventually this like just escalated into like, I'm going to murder you and your kids. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, what the hell, dude? Like, and so to me, I kind of laughed it off, and I'm just like, nobody's really that crazy, are they? But they might really be that crazy. Like, I was kind of just like, what an idiot. Like, I think he's just going for the memes. And then my wife and I talked about it the next day, and she's like, no, like, I'm nervous. Like, people are really that crazy.
Yeah, people are fucking nuts. There's a recent story of like some Call of Duty player lured like some other player like into their home and then like murdered them and then like posted about, and that's like how he got caught, because he like wanted to brag about how he had like taken out this like person that beat him all the time online or something. Crazy.
Hell, how do you lure him? You catfished him or what?
Yeah, catfished him, I guess. Like made it seem like they're friends and like invited over for like a LAN and then like fucking stabbed him to death.
Yeah, that's nutty, man. People are, I don't know, man. It's nutty. I'm with you. I'll back you up on that. I think that force move should be in the game. If it's not, I might have a really hard time playing it.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's gonna be. But like, who left clicks? Like, you don't have finite control over your character.
Yeah.
When you're trying to left click to move.
That's weird.
Did in my testing, I tested Diablo 3, and I did not know you could do this. Did you know that if you mouse click a skill in Diablo 3 on your bar, like let's say you have Arcane Orb on number 3.
Yeah.
You left click number 3 and then click somewhere in the game environment world, it will actually cast that ability.
Yeah.
And then you have to repeat that process. But you can actually mouse click your skill, like most of your skills, not all of them.
Have you never like I didn't accidentally done that?
You know, I just always use keybinds, I guess.
Because you have to like, for a lot of Zeiss builds, you're like porting out and then like you're flicking your mouse into like a direction you need. And sometimes
I go off screen all the time.
Yeah.
Like I have dual monitor. I have,
that drives me nuts. The clicking the community button or the friends list when you're like, oh,
or the Paragon point button
yes.
in the middle of the screen. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty quick at closing them though. Spacebar. So you use spacebar for force move. I use W for force move because it's like every other game is forward is W.
That's
right?
true. True.
So for WoW, when I first started playing Diablo, I was playing WoW, and W is forward, so it was a natural thing to flip back and forth between the games. But spacebar is the close menu button by default. So if now I'm pretty quick with it. If I click one of those, you can just space really
Mm.
fast. Boom, it goes away. But yeah, I click off screen. So I have 4 monitors. I have, my main one in the middle, one on the left, one on the right, and then one above. And then so the one above, when I'm going up, I'll a lot of times click the taskbar on the other monitor above. So like I'll open up random weird windows and shit.
Yeah. But in non-Diablo news,
Okay.
both of us played a game.
Oh, I
this
forgot
last
about
week.
this already.
So we played Outriders.
Yeah, dude.
What did you think about it? What were your thoughts?
So I didn't really know what to expect going in. I had seen some trailers, and I thought the gameplay looked pretty bland in the trailers I had seen. And itemization I had read is pretty good. So I'm like, oh, we'll check it out. They were a cool company. They hooked me up with the demo's free, but they reached out and they were nice, and I played the game. Um, it's it was very Division-ish. It was like Division and Anthem had a baby, and it came out with Division gameplay mechanics and Anthem story-ish, like, alien stuff and space magic and things like that. And it was cool, man. I think it had some quirks, but all in all, I enjoyed my experience. And when the demo was over, I was like, "Oh, damn, that's it!" Like I was into it, man. I was wanting to play more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree.
um,
It kind of gave me that itch. I was like, man, I really wish that there was, because like Division never hit for me, and I never really liked that game. I don't know. I don't know what it is about the Division. I just never really
yeah,
liked it. And then Destiny has held my attention a couple times, but every single time I go back to the game, it's like I feel like even though they've added new content, the game is still exactly the same, and I'm always kind of like disappointed. So this, like, to me, for someone who loves, especially in the FPS genre, like the futuristic style, I really, really liked that about it. And I didn't like how this game is clearly designed for console.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
never feels good.
A little like the UI is a little bit console-ish
Yeah.
and bland. Movement feels so like as a Division player, I have thousands of hours in Division. I like Division a lot, and Division is honestly probably the closest counterpart to Diablo that people don't realize. Like Division in itself, like they copied gear systems and itemization, and it's so Diablo 3, which you can take that as a good thing or a bad thing, with the sets and the legendaries and the powers and like exotic, like everything about Division is basically like, hey, we're gonna steal Diablo 3 stuff. And so it's a very, very close in that aspect. It's just you're playing an FPS, not an ARPG. That's really the biggest difference between them. And but Division moves better than Outriders. And so as somebody with a lot of Division time, they definitely can tidy up the movement on the game, but it's so Division, it's crazy. Like they clearly played a lot of Division and just were like, we're gonna steal their cover shooter mechanics. Like it's a cover-based shooter. And they just put space magic in it. So if they can tighten it up a little bit and get it feeling a little bit more like Division 2, I'll be super happy. The
I
movement,
actually liked it more, the movement wise. I played it enough. I know that I saw that you complain about like the strafing felt too fast and stuff like that. I mean, I like movement. I like mobility. So like more is good to me.
it just felt unnatural, and it could be because of all my Division time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I'm used to going XYZ when I press left and right, and it felt more. It just felt faster, I guess.
Yeah.
But like an example is ducking behind walls. There were many instances where I'd be behind an object and it just wouldn't let me crouch behind that object, and sometimes it would, sometimes it wouldn't. Sometimes I could back up and go back to it, and then it would crouch, and it was just kind of weird. And I think to me, it's just, I'm like Division's very polished, and so I'm used to being able to do things instantly in Division, and it didn't work. So again, I think it's got super room for improvement. But like that tornado thing they just shot at you, that was cool. And we're watching some of Fluff's gameplay. I was playing the Trickster. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Blue guy.
Yeah.
And I could teleport around in slow time and do all kinds of space magic-y things. Dude, the teleport was sick. Like that was so much fun to teleport in and then teleport out. And like I was being pinned in a corner in a bad scenario, and I could just teleport out with, behind another enemy. And it was dope, dude. It was melee. So
yeah, and I like, they have showcased like some of the end game, right? So they talked about the kind of expeditions. So they're basically going to have like 15 GRs at launch with a boss fight, with torment levels basically baked in. Which, I mean, honestly, for a looter shooter, again, you're spending like $60. It doesn't seem too bad. It seems like there's a good enough amount there, at least at launch. And the way they described crafting was actually quite interesting. I think that the crafting system could be pretty cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Reiterate really quick, like we are not sponsored for this podcast segment at all. So if we thought the game sucked, we would definitely be telling you right now. So they didn't pay us money or bribe us in any way to talk good about the game. Right. So
we would have to disclose that to you, John.
Yeah. So they didn't. They did give me the game for free, but they, there was no stipulations of talk about it on your podcast or only talk positive. They just said, "Here, do you want it?" You know what I mean? And
I took a sponsor stream and I asked, I was like, if I don't like the game, I want to be able to say like, I don't like this. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. I was like, cool. And that's the only reason I took it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that there's enough here, I think, to sink your teeth into. The only thing that alarmed me, and I'm sure you have some feedback too, is one is it's not a game as a service, which is always a red flag.
I think they're just not setting themselves up for Anthem.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like their model that they've displayed is like, this is a games as a service model. So I think they're just like not saying that so people don't get high expectations if they can't deliver content fast enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see. But yeah, that scares me. Did you have other things that we were nervous about too?
Yeah, I mean, that has some like implications with it to me. There was like a big debate we had in chat about this, but when I hear not game as a service, I think like, okay, well, some things like OP, it doesn't really get patched.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, because it's kind of like an offline game, basically, at that point.
That's the weird part, though, is it's not. Like your characters, like all your stuff saved online.
Yeah.
You jump in and out with your buddies online. It's like everything about it is online games as a service. They're just not saying it. So it's really weird to me. It's almost like they're just trying to be smart about it and be like, hey, we're not going to Anthem ourselves. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I don't think that this is like, I didn't play this demo and leave the demo saying like, I would definitely recommend everybody go buy this game. I don't know enough yet.
Yeah.
But I will say that I left the demo extremely intrigued, and like, since they gave me the game anyways, I'm definitely going to play the crap out of it. Like when it launches, I'll definitely play it. And then if it hooks me, then I'm in, and then I'll, give an honest opinion. Like, yeah, you guys should buy it, or no, you shouldn't,
Yeah. But, I mean, I think even if they're not going to give me the game, because they haven't, I think I would probably still check it out. Because they have shown us like what they're thinking for the end game, and they have shown us what they're thinking for crafting, and all of that actually like looks good. Again, I don't know that's going to be something you're going to be able to sink thousands and thousands of hours into, but I think for a $60 title, it looks to be like there's going to be at least a few weeks of content here, even if you're a hardcore player. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that is good. That's definitely more than I would get out of a game like, God of War, Spider-Man, stuff like that.
How deep did you dig in this talent tree that's on screen right now?
Yeah, I mean, I looked into it. You could only get basically 2 points into the tree.
I know, right? That's like, damn.
What I will say is, it's bigger than Diablo 4 skill tree.
It didn't look super interesting. So like I looked at the Trickster one, and I didn't go over every single node, but I did look at some of them, and I didn't see anything that was like, oh, that's in a really crazy power. I needed to get that. But they did have skills that you unlock later on, and some of those did seem pretty cool. So I was like, this is cool. And then I saw that you could only get like 2 talent points in the demo, and I was like, well, I can't get anything anyways, so I don't even care. I'm not gonna worry about it. But
yeah, and
crafting, like you just crafted some materials there, and like this, it looks like it's gonna be an interesting end game.
Yeah, so. I had that same sentiment when I was done. I was like, well, yeah, I want to play more, and I actually did. I leveled up every character to see how they felt.
Snikey.
And I even farmed like legendaries. There's quite a few things you can do, which are cheesy, and I really hate that about the game right now. Is like the way you can farm gear is like silly. it's like just reload the checkpoint and then like do the thing, or like
just keep killing the
let
same
the
boss
kill you. Yeah, and then like
apparently people have found out ways to do like boss runs in like 8 seconds.
yeah,
They've
that's what I was
already
doing. Yeah.
yeah, it's like 8-second
Which
boss
is
runs.
cheesy. Which I mean, it's a demo, like, so I'm not really expecting much there. The thing that they didn't like really specify that I think could be cool is like, so they have like the 15 expeditions we know that they're gonna have. I think there's like 10 to 15 levels of difficulty per expedition. But they also talked about like a boss fight that would happen like after you've cleared all 15. So I'm hoping that that's actually kind of like a Awakener kind of thing where you have to do each of them, like all 15, and then you unlock a run of like the boss.
There's no way they give you infinite shots.
I hope not.
PoE is just brutal, dude. Like there's no.
It's not that bad though. It's like it'd be running 15 maps to get another Awakener. That's not that high of a requirement.
It would be cool if they did that, but I just don't see that on a console-based game like this. Like if we're being real, this is console first, PC second, is kind of the way I took it. So I don't know. That'd be cool. I don't think they'll do it. I couldn't imagine any game being that hardcore. I think ARPGs are like a different breed of we can punish you and you'll accept it. You know what I mean?
PoE is a different breed of we can do whatever we want to.
It's got a level of like we're gonna punish you, and then
Speaking of PoE, where are we at, dude? Where are we at? Listen, I've killed the Feared, which is like the hardest thing you could possibly do. We've killed Awakener 9. We get all the achievements. We got the Ritual Hideout. Like I've done literally more of this league than I ever have. Loved it.
I am so proud of you, man.
Where's Awakener 0? PChild.
I have done more in this league than I have ever done too. It's crazy how we're sharing that right now. You know, I haven't played, man. I don't know what I have.
I mean, I saw you on the WoW today, and I was disappointed.
I know. I saw you posted in my Discord and everything, trying to rally the troops to harass me into playing more PoE.
Yes.
Listen, you can't harass me. You can't pressure me, bud. No means no. Okay. No, I don't. We got time. We still, I'll jump back in. I'm sure.
Okay. Well, the Outriders comes out April 1st. So if we're playing that together, you only have, a month.
Maybe we should be able to do that. I think that'd be fun, man. Do Outrider. What day of the week is that? Is it coming out on a Thursday? Interesting. Thursday. So 24-hour Thursday stream. Got it. Outriders launch.
Although, the earliest we could see season 23 would be the 19th, which
it's gotta be 6 weeks away, dude.
I'm thinking because these sets are not great in their current form, that we'll see more time there.
So so the PTR is going to hit 1 week this Thursday, which is the 4th. The second week is the 11th. So that's when the PTR is going to go down.
Yeah.
Right. So then let's say they take 2 weeks out to make the changes. So that's the 18th and the 25th. They could potentially patch on the 30th, and then the season could launch on the 2nd. I don't see there's any way we could get it before the 2nd. And I think more realistically, we're more looking like probably not even the 9th. I would even bet money we're going to go into like the 16th, 2 weeks into April.
I mean, I'm kind of hoping that it's not the end. I mean, I don't know. Because I think if we get the end of PTR next Thursday, like you said, like it's supposed to be, right? We're supposed to only get 2 weeks. Then we didn't get any iterations probably, or we only got one. And I don't think the sets are in a good place that they can really get away with that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully we see a patch this. I think we'll see a lot. If we don't get a patch this week, there's kind of a big reason for concern.
If we don't get a patch this week and we don't get a second PTR to test the new things, I'm going to be nervous as hell. I think then things are just going to go in as they are with just damage and nerfs to toughness and damage output.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be playing what we played. It's just they're going to remove Rathma shield from Necro and lower a little bit. And we're going to be playing the Firebirds Talrash's hybrid set with less tankiness and less damage probably. But like that 1,000 number becomes like 1,000 or something. Totally. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's I mean, it's unfortunate, but we still got so many other wins with the season, I guess. We'll get by, but it would be unfortunate. And It's scary because I feel like the Hydra set, Typhoon's Veil, never was good to me. To me personally, I never liked that set. I thought when I played it, this is going to get fixed, and they never fixed it to what I felt was a good set. You guys can maybe disagree with me in comments if you liked it. Tell me that you liked it or whatever, but I never liked it, and you know, I don't know. I'm nervous that they'll do that again. So, and you know what? This also doesn't fix. This doesn't fix T16s for Wizard. T16s still suck on a Wizard. Like by far, it's got to be the slowest class in the game. I can't think. I mean, Team of Hunters zooming, Monks zooming, Necros zooming, Witch Doctors even zooming on Mundanugos or Chicken. Barb maybe is like kind of the similar speed. What does Barb got besides Whirlwind? Do they have anything?
Charge Barb. Charge.
You think that's fast? Yeah, maybe.
That's good. Yeah, it's strong.
Yeah. Charge Barb's probably equal-ish, but Wizard's definitely
faster if you min-max.
Yeah. Trying to think.
You can only whirlwind so fast. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. You can get some crazy speed.
Yeah. But charge is like...
It feels so... Like, I'm telling you, it feels so bad to try to move with teleport because it's so clunky. And, like, I don't know why it feels so crap. Like, Dashing Strike feels so good, and then teleport feels so bad. It's just like, why can't you
Dashing Strike feels amazing compared to everybody. And then the Blood Rush feels okay compared to Dashing Strike. And then teleport feels bad compared to both.
Why don't you just copy paste Dashing Strike onto all the classes?
You want all the classes to feel exactly the same.
Like, why? What is it? That's teleport, dude. Like, really, does it need to be different? Like, it's teleport. Point A, point B, get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, teleport can do damage at the end of its port, so I guess that's kind of different. But
like a lot.
I know.
I feel like there's a teleport kill build. That would be cool, though.
Yeah.
Right?
It'd be like dashing, or what's that skill in PoE? Flicker Strike.
What?
Flicker Strike.
Yeah, I don't know. You're out talking PoE stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, lost you.
Know your audience. All right, let's go to some Twitter questions.
Do it.
On like another 5-hour podcast.
Yep.
You talk too much.
You talk too much.
If you want to submit questions to the podcast, you can submit them at ThaPChild, at Lord_Fluffy, _ Fluffy, at Lord. Yeah, that was right.
Yeah,
right?
You did it right. What's your problem?
Okay. I'm losing my mind. Or join our Discords. That's honestly the best spot to do it. The first question we have comes from Rastog. Rastog says, have you guys seen or played Curse of the Dead Gods yet? If so, what are your thoughts?
Curse of the Dead Gods.
I have no idea what that is. I've never heard of it. Have not seen it. I'm assuming it's some kind of ARPG.
A roguelike action game full of fast-paced combat, intense challenges, and a variety of weapon relics, curses, traps, enemies, and powerful bosses to master.
Roguelike? Nope, I haven't. So, well, check
like a Hades kind of thing. Kind of looks
Hades
like
knockoff. I don't know, but nope, I haven't. So I'll look into it. I haven't even played Hades.
You should.
Yeah, everybody that's played it says it's really good.
Yeah,
so
it's definitely worth.
Duda says, can we just skip season 23 and get more changes ink on season 24?
What? What was the question?
Direct quote. Can we just skip season 23 and get more changes ink on season 24?
Who asked this?
Duda.
Huh. That's weird. That's a weird question.
I think he was probably in the boat like we didn't get a seasonal theme.
Yeah. It's kind of a low IQ take.
Yeah. I don't know if that's 100% or they're just excited and they want more stuff. I'm not really sure. I think this is like the biggest patch we've had since
season 11.
Yeah, since like the big balance in 11 with Necro and stuff. Onion says, does the Emanate system limit what quality of life items they can add in the future since it could lead to broken combos?
Well, they can always remove stuff from Emanate. So
I think this is like getting limited extra cube slots and they can play with it a lot more.
Keeping stuff that might not be super meaningful for your build, but it's still like nice to have. What I see this Emanate stuff as.
I think this was kind of a solution that iterated from the 4th cube slot from this season, where they probably put it in and everybody's like, can we keep the 4th cube slot? And they're like, what if we did this to give them some of the items, but not all of the items? Because some of the feedback we've gotten is like, well, let's add the 4th cube slot permanently, but limit it to some items, right? Well, it's kind of what they did with the follower system. It's just only single player too now. So, but yeah, I think the Emanate system will definitely get changed and added to and removed and this and that. And the problem is like when we get used to Flavor of Time being in there and then in a couple seasons they take it away, are we going to freak out? That's kind of the question.
Yeah.
You know. Raziel says, can you assign teleport to town to a number pad and then numlock it? I haven't thought to try it yet. And I'm assuming that this question is going to go to the shoulders that give you the shield when you town portal.
Homing pads.
Yeah, the homing pads. So you can, I guess, anytime you start to stand still, it will auto cast that.
Yeah.
Now that delay animation might end up getting you killed though, if there is like some kind of, if there's a delay to like canceling the animation.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's definitely a thing. I don't know that it's ever been a thing for a meta push build, but it's definitely a thing that people have abused in the past.
I guess you could though. I don't know. That's like you're pretty bet down on your quality of life if you're trying to do that.
Yeah.
Like you must not value your time. Landenberg says, do you think that Blizzard messed up with the new Rathma revamp by not letting minions do damage? The whole Lord Commander of the Undead Fantasy and Minion set went to being a caster set, which we have plenty of.
Yeah, I get this question because, I think people did want the minions to be the damage focus here. They did want this, huge army of undead. But again, I always go back to one. It's hard to imagine a scenario where you have 27 minions and you're not OP and mandatory for like RGK, and you go back into like, is Thorn's going to be too powerful again, and like there's a lot of bad things that could potentially happen from making minions do the damage. But yeah, go ahead.
If you think about this, Bill, I didn't think about it, but if you died on the RG, you're pretty screwed. You can't get your minions back up.
With revive, yeah.
Yeah, like if you die on the RG, like game over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I never thought about that until now.
Mm-hmm.
So don't screw it up, boys. I agree, Fluff.
Yeah. I think that's, I don't know that there's any universe where we could have the minions do all the damage. And again, like, people want that, but then you're going to play it and you might as well have just been, like, loaded up a Witch Doctor, because you're just going to stand there, like, maybe you'll cast some curses.
That's my thing, is it's going to end up being Witch Doctor. It was the set where you threw down the cold rune on the ground and tried to like not die.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Helltooth?
I don't even know.
Gargant? I don't even know. But it was not fun. Like you literally just tried to stay alive. Like you ran in circles and avoided damage and hoped your pets hit the right thing. I don't want that again.
Yeah, same.
Joe Cronin says, I've consistently mentioned a temporary power to keep the end game fun. The idea of like a small primal like rarity power that drops and only lasts from 1 to 24 hours or 7 days. These would be impactful to replace the Paragon, especially if there were thousands of different ones. What do you think?
So kind of like ethereal items maybe, but based on playtime instead. So would you just store all the good stuff in your stash and then like pull it out when it's time to push or something?
Or would they just deteriorate in your stash? I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems to me that's super RNG, and it's like, okay, so now you're pushing at the end of the season is, I got to go farm. I get the item I need. Now I got 7 hours or 1 hour or 5 hours to go try to push. And then it disappears or breaks. And then now I got to go try to farm that again. So I like the idea to try to keep the end game fun. Like, oh, this thing happened in game. Now I can do XYZ for a while and that'll be really cool. But ultimately, what happens is if XYZ is fun, then people just want to do that, and they'll take away the key to like the gate to get into it, aka Greater Rifts, and they used to have a key, and then that'll eventually become old. So I like where you're going. You're trying to get a new variety that's random, but I think that this just makes RNGesus screw the game over even worse. Like then I gotta have this item to push. So
yeah, I think, and if it's not something you get to choose, there's that you're being forced into doing something. Like, so say you get that perfect primal weapon, like, well, now I have to push this next 2 hours, or otherwise I miss the opportunity to get like that higher push because this item goes away.
Yep.
And you don't want to force players into playing a thing at that moment.
Yeah, if there was something that maybe it didn't benefit pushing as much, like let's say you got an item that really benefited speed runs or something, or bounties for a while, then you could choose, like, do I need keys right now, or do I need Death's Breath, or do I want to do regular rifts? Nah, I'll just let it disappear. But if you're like, yeah, actually I kind of need some keys, let me go ahead and knock these out since I got this juicy power, maybe. But it would be hard to make it not be powerful in GRs.
Yeah.
So Zintrax says you are teleported 30 years into the future. You get 30 minutes to Google look up anything you want.
Shit.
What's the first thing you're gonna Google? I think we've had something kind of like this before.
Myself.
Yourself? I thought about that too. Like, am I still alive in 30 years? Like, what am I doing? What did I do?
Yeah, you'd have to like really big brain this, because it's like, well, I guess you would look up like what the biggest company is or something, you know, like, so you could go back to your current time and stand to make a ton of money.
Yeah, you Back to the Future that shit. You take a sports almanac back with you, and then you just, you know.
But would that outweigh the curiosity of what happens to you?
Well, that changes everything, because if what happens to you won't be the same if you go back in time and you can become like a millionaire.
Maybe it's like, you know, like the multi-universe take, and it's like, well, nothing you did changes. Or it's a different universe altogether, and you just pulled lotto numbers for a future that's not even your own. I don't even know, right? Like, there's
yeah, I'm with you, man. You pull a sports almanac and it's all wrong, and then you go in debt forever. It's like different.
Like, I'm gonna hit eventually, right?
You're like, babe, babe, listen, it's foolproof. I got this. Bet everything on the Lakers tonight. They're gonna win. The score is 124 to 122, and then they just lose, and you're just like, oh shit, we have no money. We have $0. Yeah. I Diablo. So 30 years in the future, Diablo 5.
Did Diablo 4 ever come out?
Yeah. What did Diablo 4? Did Diablo 4 come out good or not?
Was it Necro? Was that the fifth class?
Right. You come back and you're making YouTube videos. Like, I guarantee it's gonna be a cleric. It's a cleric, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Fluff's got people at Blizzard are getting fired because they think they're leaking to you.
Yeah.
You know? He's got blue robes right here, and like you're like, what? Let's see. The last question we have comes from the Dean. The Dean says they've been making a lot of video games into movies lately: Assassin's Creed, Tomb Raider, Monster Hunter, etc. What's a movie you'd like to see turned into a game? So we're flipping the script. A movie that could I got this is kind of easy for me. This popped in really fast.
Lord of the Rings.
No, well, that's a good one, but no. Is that your choice, or you're saying that's mine?
That's mine. Yeah.
That's yours, Lord of the Rings. I would like to see a Matrix MMO that's good. And I know they've done this in the past. Like, we've talked about it.
Yeah, they've done Lord of the Rings as well, but none of them are good.
No, like a kick-ass Matrix MMO. Like, it's got such a good universe, man, that I think that they could.
How could you make that into a game that wasn't like cheesy though?
A Matrix, like you're just a dude. Like, you get to pick good or evil. You're an agent, or you're a Neo dude, and you run around, and you have to like, you could, just be in the city, like doing stuff. You know,
I don't know.
Sci-fi in it.
I
don't know. Figure it out. Altered Carbon. Yeah, somebody said Altered Carbon. That's a good one. Do you ever watch Altered Carbon?
No. I started friends were like, "Oh my god, it's so good," and then I watched it. Like, first episode, I was like, "What the fuck am I watching?" Too nerdy.
What?
Too nerdy.
What?
Yeah.
Stacks, man. It's all about the stacks. You didn't even get deep enough into it. Season 1 was really good. Season 2 was meh. So that's it, man. That is all the questions we had. I would like if I could flip that, I would like to see Destiny become a movie franchise. I think Destiny's universe is like Star Wars style. Like it could be ridiculously awesome.
Halo would be better.
I don't know, man.
Destiny's not that interesting.
I don't know about that.
Wise.
I think you're Halo bias.
I think your Destiny bias.
I might be. It could be.
Destiny story sucks, dude.
The story sucks. The story does suck. It's the universe they made that's so good. We'll see. That's it. If you guys wanted to submit questions to the podcast, you can tweet them at myself. You can tweet them at Fluff or join our Discords.
Yeah. We see every week, chat, there's some questions that happen. All you got to do is join our Discords and ask your question in the new meta section, and we'll read it out loud.
He was talking about when the pre-screen was on. And look, I'm going back for you, guy. And listen, there's nothing. Demonic Grizz says, so what class will Fluffy get nerfed next? Was a late addition. And let me check your Discord one more time. You guys are throwing these in after we start the pod, and it's hard to go back. And then Mems71 says maybe a Paragon nerf is in order with a question mark. And then K-Bear asked,
a question?
Yeah,
of course, Paragon sucks.
Predictions for PTR changes, estimated season release date. I think we talked about all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but if we want to actually pin down a date, you want to take bets right now? Pin a date down. I go with the 16th, April 16th.
That's so far out. You think?
Yeah.
But April 16th lines up like probably new PoE league. I hate that.
Even makes more sense.
Yeah, let's go with
to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, okay. I want 2 weeks of Diablo 3 season before the PoE league begins. 2 weeks.
2 weeks? When is the new PoE league?
We don't know. It's at mid-April is all they said.
They said mid-April?
So it's going to be mid-April, by the way.
Yeah, this is going to be like April 13th. They'll announce it, and it'll go live on Friday the 16th, right? So,
or the week following.
Yeah, Diablo's going to drop the 16th, guaranteed now. Like, I'm even more secure on that answer. Like, for some reason, dude, they like lining these things up right on top of each other.
Yeah, let's go selfish here, right? So I kind of want to take a trip, a little weekend getaway. So
okay, hold on. Plan your trip for the 16th because that guarantees locks
in March. I want to do one in March. So, and then Outriders comes out the 1st. I probably need, a gamer like me could probably blow through that game in like a week. Let's be real. And then, let's say the 9th. April 9th. That works for me. Okay. And then maybe 2 weeks of Diablo 3 season and then PoE League. The dream.
Okay. We'll see. That's the predictions. There you go. That's all the questions that we had. I didn't recheck Twitter, but if you guys want to get the questions in, submit them before 10 p.m. Eastern time on the day of the podcast. I'll go through at like 8:50 and round up all the extra questions I don't have yet. At ThaPChild, at Lord__Fluffy, or honestly, the best place is Discord.
True.
And we'll catch you guys next week for episode 138.
Yeah. Peace out.
Peace.